we're ready to get started here. I'm already seeing some super cool stuff for my troll for you just by prompting for Fantasy Friday with experimental set to 20, weird set to 10, and then this profile that I don't actually recognize. Is by any chance that like video game concept art or something like that? I'm curious. I troll for you. Um, but we're gonna do some pretty cool stuff today related to um, the comics that we had actually been building up on our Gnarly Studios server. So we're gonna get into all that after I do my intro here. Um, Let me make sure I got keep all my windows open so I can see everything from you guys. Awesome. Okay. Sweet. All right. This is we're gonna do a little bit of a slow roll to get things started here, guys, because like I said, I had a pretty big week. There was a lot of like change ups and things that I wasn't expecting happening, and I am so excited that it's going to result in basically me like deep diving into the fantasy projects and really making those fleshing them out, making them into completed, comics and films. So, and there might be a chance that my internet goes out. We'll see what happens because there's a bad thunderstorm coming through right now. And my little dog Cooper, he's terrified of thunder, so he's at my feet right now. If you hear a little whimper every once in a while, that's him. But you're okay, buddy. You're okay. Okay. But if you join the room that's inside of VC Text here, so you could find that by going through the Discord channels and seeing just below the stage, sorry, just above the stage here, you'll see VC Text and VC Create. We will not be using VC Create today. You're welcome to post there, and we might check on it every once in a while. But we're actually going to be using the Mid-Journey room called Fantasy Friday. And you can find that by clicking the room invite link that I've posted up here inside of VC Text, and then use the password gnarly. That will give you access to this room and be featured during the stream. But if you just want to hang out, chat, ask questions, that kind of thing, that's what VC Text is for. So click on VC Text and start typing anything that you want to say. That's okay for stream. And you're welcome to just hang out with us as we make cool stuff today. So I do want to do a little quick intro for myself and for Rhapsody here. My name is Victor Gnarly. I'm a former visual effects artist with Adult Swim. I worked on various different stop motion shows, and uh, I'm largely doing independent comics nowadays, like web comics. Yeah, I do a series called Tumbling Up that is pretty popular on Reddit. I mean, it definitely got some big hits early at the end of last year, and I'm excited to release this next one because I do think it's going to get quite popular. And then I'm joined here with Rhapsody as well. Do you want to do a little quick
Hi.
intro for yourself?
Well, I'm Rhapsody. I care about all the community stuff over on Gnarly Studios, and well, I'm here to show you some stuff, help Victor stay focused, and keep an eye on all the different channels that you can write us and do stuff.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to have you here and stuff. Like it is. We're also joined here by Kinky and by Ancient from Midjourney. Thank you all so much for coming in here and making this all happen, as well as all the namestays, the regulars here. Thank you so much for coming in early. We got Tanner, we got Bert, we got Senior Carlos, we got CRC, I Troll for You, Reason, Reveille, Mojam, Humanity, Edid, let's see here, Celeste, of course, and Alistair. And I love recognizing all you guys. It's so great, and I wanted to also wish a happy birthday to Droladak, who is in the audience. Happy birthday, dude! Thank you so much. You're one of my earliest fans, so I'm really excited to be able to celebrate your birthday today. Um, I do plan on throwing your OC in the comic today. It might be a little just short little cameo, it might be a panel or two, but I am going. That is one of my goals for today. And Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun because we're gonna get into some technical comic construction using the new layers function inside the editor, as well as deep diving into style referencing for linear storytelling. So, I go into pretty big detail on let's see, the SpellBroke website here. I should probably link that a little better here. Let's go ahead and add that as well, really quick. I need to make a new browser for that one because that is the one thing I definitely did not set up ahead of time is my generic web browser. So let me get that up on here really quick. Duplicate this. Copy, paste. Okay. And then set this to where is that thing I need? Where is the thing that I need? Chrome. No, I don't want YouTube music. Come on.
It's always to your left.
It's always to my left. No, that's my settings. Yeah, let's do this then. I'm going to uh yeah, I'm just gonna have to make a new window for that one then. That's fine. Get rid of this. Oh, nope. It's at the all the rooms. That's that. Okay, okay. This is what happens when I do things live. I tend to break things. I apologize. There we go. Now that's back. And I'm going to set a new source and just set it for this browser here. Window capture. And then new one. And I'm going to call this web. And Chrome. Come on, Chrome. Where are you? There it is. Perfect. Okay, I finally got it up. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so at comic.spellbroke.com, we have created a tutorial for you guys, as well as a sample comic to start digging into what you can do with OREF, as well as building off of all the stuff that we've built on Gnarly Studios server. And we'll do a full tour and all that kind of stuff when we get into it. But I'm going to first link that inside of VC text for you guys. So that is right here. Let's do comic.spellbroke.com. This is going to be the first fantasy series in our shared universe that we're building together, and I've built 2 teaser comics for it. And my goal for today, anyway, is to expand on this comic. And then after we get that all started, we'll dig into all the changes that we've made on the Gnarly Studios server. So if you click on that link in VC text, it'll take you right to this comic. And it is an introduction of 2 characters, 2 fan characters, Brecky and Fungi Mancer, or Fungal Mancer. And it's so much fun to use your all's characters and to create original stories with them. And that's what really Gnarly Studios is all about. It's all about like this like collective storytelling that we're able to do with each other with Midjourney. And so this comic was a lot of fun to make. We made it for the release of OREF. And it really takes full advantage of it because it analyzes the entire space within the image and says, how can I recontextualize that? How can I make your prompt, fit within this world, this almost like 3-dimensional referencing. And by the time you get to the end of the story, it's very simple. It's basically just Brecky runs into Fungal Mancer, and she's terrified by how big he is, and just he wasn't moving and is suddenly moving, and she runs off. And my idea for today is that we're going to basically see where she runs off to. So I got a couple of places to go with that, but the reason I linked you guys the comic is actually because underneath it you'll find the step-by-step guide of how I use omni-referencing with Midjourney. And I'm not going to get into all like the steps here. You're welcome to read it on your own time. We're going to be doing that throughout the stream here today. But it basically follows a linear storytelling to where we could start with the initial inspirational panel for it and either tell the story forward or backwards, depending on what we need to do. So if you want to ask what happens next to any image, that's what this does. Like that's basically what we're doing in a nutshell. So There's two tutorials on here. You'll find one for Midjourney version 7, and then you'll also find one for Midjourney version 6.1. And the reason why there's two separate tutorials is because whenever you're in painting or using the editor, you're actually using version 6.1. So the instructions that are in here is how we would retain continuity using our mood boards and various other Midjourney tools. But version 7 you can rely almost entirely off of if you're just, especially if you're making an original story from scratch, you could just use the version 7 tutorial. And then if you want to dig into the Spellbroke art style, that's what the next tutorial really helps you accomplish. So that's the tutorial in a nutshell. Feel free to read it on your own time, but you're basically able to see the products of both of them if you scroll up. So, okay. Let's see if we got any questions or anything inside of chat here. The Snoopy, all good, all good. Thank you so much for coming. I really do appreciate everyone who does. Fungal Mansell was an oral typo from Victor back in that stuck now, and now I like this name. Yeah, I will admit that whatever was typed inside of Character Portal is what I'll keep saying. So if I do need to correct that, I can easily edit the post. It's actually a really great segue for me to talk about the Gnarly Studios server really quick before we really start getting into prompting stuff here. So I'm going to feature that really quick, and then we'll get into the fun stuff. Let me first open up the Character Portal here. Copy, because that also lets me get into what new stuff we've got for you guys today. Is this gonna let me just log in? Yeah, hold on a second. Oop, nope, that's not the button I want to click on. And gotta type the damn thing in my phone. Just 2 seconds.
Also, I see Compasta is making in our room some Phantasma game screens.
Ooh.
And it's looking really nice.
I'm stoked to see it. Let's take a look after we get this loaded up here for you guys. Okay, let me just quickly do this here. So we're gonna hide the servers. Okay, cool. All right, so inside of the Gnarly Studio servers that's linked inside of VC Text, there is a character portal. That's where we're going to be pulling characters from. You'll be able to see Brecky here from the comic is fully featured, so you can just dive into any one of these images using OREF and start pulling her into your stories if you want to. But we have so many characters for you guys here. You're just keep it's over 100 characters that all of you guys have contributed and have added lore to and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And you could sort them based on theme as well. I feel like if I start getting into the new forums and stuff that we have, it's going to be a whole other deep dive. I really want to see what's going on inside of the OREF room here. So if you don't have a character though, just grab one from the character portal. You're going to have a lot of fun, I promise. If you do. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on in the room here. Ooh, I'm seeing some fun stuff here. Okay, let's see. We have From Gome Pasta, almost done. All right, 100%. Nice. I love this. Okay, so you're using video game title screenshot, Phantasma, a group of fantasy adventures in a city, play button and a quit button. Nice. It does feel a lot like the opening sequence in a game, like right before you pick new campaign. I dig that. That's fun. Let's see, we got some character designs here from Drolinak. Nice. We got a whole bunch of these play button ones. Neat. I like this one. This one's pretty cool. Let's see here. Yeah, My Hero Academia. What is that supposed to? Oh, look at us! It is actually us. Oh, that's fun. It's definitely very loosely interpreted, but it is. I can see I can see Rhapsody and myself inside this group here. That's funny. Neat. Oh, I see. We got gnome already featured in here too. So inside the character portal, I updated with a version. What is it? With a new version of gnome 4.0. So we've sent her to the character portal, and the you can just click on her here, gnome 4.0, and you can see that we have uh, this recommended prompt for you guys. This is just something to add on to. It's just like the bare minimum that I would recommend in order to retain her. Just know that even adding the word small gnome girl to the prompt may randomize certain elements of her. So what I've gone as far as completely retro engineering characters inside of prompts, but for this, she's worked really well just by saying, "Hey, I want a small gnome girl in an animated fantasy film." That's kind of my logic for a lot of prompting. I tend to want to watch a movie by the end of it. I want whatever I make to end up to be a movie someday. So why not prompt for that right off the bat? And that sort of prompting with ultimate intention is important. I think it actually really does boost the quality of what you're making, as well as keep continuity of all that stuff. So if I now hop ourselves over to the what is it, to that room with that prompt copied, I'll be able to now import gnome very easily into this room, just by pasting her prompt into the bottom of this room here. So you can see she automatically pops up as the Omni reference. And we should have it say just what we want to see in this scene. So I have an animated fantasy film, small gnome girl. That's the only thing that's currently written in the prompt. It'll just give us a character with a white background if we just prompt for this on its own. So we need to start giving it an environment. If you follow along with the SpellBroke tutorial here, the first thing I recommend people doing is to establish your world, your medium, and your first character with your prompt. And so we already have the medium, which is the animated fantasy film. We already have the character, which is the small gnome girl. And now we just need to establish the world that she's in. So why don't we just go with something pretty simple and say that she is. I'll just do that. I'll just do a similar prompt that I had before. That on a sunny day, she picks flowers in an open field with rolling hills, with rolling grassy hills. And the aspect ratio, I usually do 3:2 because it gives me a little bit of headroom, a little extra room compared to 16:9. Standard video aspect ratio, especially better than 21:9, like ultra wide. It just tends to stretch things out in ways that I always end up modifying the cropping with those really ultra wide, panels. So we're just going to go with 3:2, give us plenty of room to take a look at what we get here and just see the world around it. We could also just do 1:1 and then recrop it to whatever we want. But I personally am a bigger fan of 3:2 as my starting aspect ratio. It almost feels subjective, but your aspect ratio does actually impact the final result of your image. It was a lot more important with version 5 and lesser so to version 6. But with version 7, you can kind of recontextualize anything, so it's not nearly as important as it used to be. But we'll see what we get here. And I'm noticing that we already have a whole bunch of style references that people are using on top of their prompts, and that's a pretty major element to maintain continuity of the art style with version 7. So you can see this is the style reference that is being used for this prompt from Fungi Mancer. And you can see just even in its current state, that's only like 55% done, just how much it's borrowing from the subjective elements of this image, which is what style reference is really best at doing. It's best at saying, hey, here are all the rules of this art, not necessarily the context of the art, but here are the rules of the art. What's the line weight? What's the color temperature? These are the most important aspects of style reference. But then when it comes to, say, image prompting, it's much more literal. It's much more saying, "Hey, here's the composition. I need a character to be on the left. I need a character to be, or I need a castle in the background. All that kind of stuff. You can establish with image prompts. So by combining those two, you really start to establish or have control of Midjourney, I mean. And you can see here the image prompt that was used for Fungi Mancer here was this one, which you could see how much it's influencing the final result. There's a castle that's floating with a nice starry sky and clouds. That's exactly what we're getting here. It's the same composition, right? So by combining all of the 3 different image tools that we have on Midjourney, you can do anything, and it's amazing what we're able to accomplish with that. Oh, look at this! Look at I Troll for You making video game dialogue trees for Drolinak. That is awesome.
This is so cool.
This feels like we could make our own like RPG text, like just either
Next adventure, that's 100% doable.
100% doable. We could totally do that. We could probably do
Yeah.
that by the end of this. But I will say this though. It is also incredibly inviting to make a Phantasma dating sim. I'm just already gonna say that now. I'm just saying that now. That this feels like a dating sim. Okay, let's continue. Let's take a look here. All right. This is awesome. I love seeing all the gnomes with the more Linclair art style applied here, which is important because you could see here with Gnome that she has a very clean line style that makes it so there's only only two major color tones that are being applied: the base color and then a shadow as well, just to give it some depth and some structure. Everything else is flat tones, and the reason why is because we really want the style references and everything else to command the final arts like aesthetic of it. So this just gives us the rules for the character. And you'll see inconsistencies. Like, for example, she doesn't have braids here, right? So this would be an example of where I add the words big brunette braids or a big brunette braid, and it will fix this kind of inconsistency. But you really do have to prompt first, see what inconsistencies you find, and then prompt again. To really compensate for that. But let's take a look at what we got here off of my result for animated fantasy film. Oh, that was Big Thunder. All right, animated fantasy film, small gnome girl on a sunny day. She picks flowers in an open field with rolling grassy hills. And you can see just the art style will vary a lot without applying a style reference, but we do get a character that largely refers to what, like the at least the aesthetics of Gnome here. So in order to fix this, like the variations that we find here, we apply a style reference. So let's do this exact same prompt. We'll hit use. We also see some variation in her hair color, and we see her braids disappearing at points too. So let's go ahead and reinforce our prompt so that we both get a consistent art style, but also a little bit more consistent character. So we'll say that she is a small gnome girl with brunette braids. Okay. And if we really, really want to hone it down to where she only has this one braid here, I just add the word big. So big brunette braid and then not plural. And that'll be enough for her on that. So that should lock down the character better here. Now, the thing is that because if I put any emphasis on her hair, guess what happens? Her hat will also disappear because we're kind of doing a give and take with OREF here. So I'm also going to add wearing a green cone hat. This might make her hat a little spikier, but it will definitely reinforce that she is always wearing the hat as well. So that will be good there. And then let's apply a style reference to maintain the aesthetic here. And I actually have built one ahead of time for you guys. I'm going to quickly share my tablet here. Let's see, tablet. Yep, this one here. Okay, this is my Photoshop project for today. I have 2 different projects open. that we'll be going through today to build up a comic. I did some homework for myself. And so I have two different characters and two different projects that I'm going to smash together using the editor today. But the aesthetic that I am pulling for this is actually this bottom one here, which I built by taking this image result here and then removing Vic, and then that just gives us basically an art style sheet or an aesthetic sheet. So I'm going to copy that and then use that as our style reference. So now I'll bring us back over to the room we were in before. Boop. Okay. And now I'll just hit the use button here to make sure we copy this. Oh, that's right. I added a bunch of words to that, didn't I? Let me add those back really quick. With big brunette braids and green cone hat. Okay. And then I will now paste this image into the bar here. It'll automatically paste it as an image prompt. After it loads, you'll know that it's loaded because it's no longer white here. After it loads, I am going to shift that over to the style reference bar over here. So you can just click and drag it. If you want to use them as both an image prompt and a style reference, then you can just hold shift and it will copy it over. But for now, we're just going to use it as a style reference. And then I'm going to hit submit on here. And what this is going to do is it's going to far more likely keep the particularly the time of day and the environment inside of this shot here. So instead of it randomizing between different art styles and different times of day in an open field, just basically sunny day kind of thing, it should be much more orange, much more of a more burnt at the end of the day. Everything's been baking in the sun for a while. Maybe it's like 3 or 4 p.m., that kind of thing. Usually I can get a pretty good time of day nailed down with these style references. So we'll take a look at this result here. And I can see that me saying the dating sim thing was already a mistake. I'll let Lolo have his fun with that. But this is going to be funny. All right. So I wanted to show though, in terms of just how much influence the style reference has on the images and how much we might need to reinforce things after applying them to see what sort of variations we get on this. So then I'll dig into everything else you guys got going here because there's a lot of fun stuff already. Oh man. Oh, Reveille. I remember this, the Lilies girl. Yes. I definitely want to flesh out this comic at some point too, because that was so neat to just have her reacting to the dragon as she was coming in that stream like three weeks ago. But this OREF is almost done, and you can just see how immensely consistent it's going to be comparative to what we had before, where we were varying between 3D to basically all sorts of painterly formats. And now take a look at this. We are getting almost the exact same line art style in all 4 results. This is so much better right off the bat because it's borrowing the line art style from the style reference. But this is a pretty big but, and you can see just how much influence it's had on the character design. So that means that we need to now reinforce this with a prompt that just basically emphasizes her outfit more. So let's say that she is a small gnome girl wearing an all green tunic with big brunette braid and green cone hat. I will mention something about when it comes to the vocabulary of your prompts. Be redundant. Be as redundant as you need to be, right? Like if she needs to be carrying a certain kind of flowers and that flower needs to also be in her ear, behind her ear or anything like that, you just write that multiple times and try to reinforce that element of the prompt. So let's see here. I'm gonna send it with this. I think should be good enough, unless we want to include another piece of attire for her, like a bag or a basket or something. Ooh. This is Carlos. Carlos is already using the style reference that I had recommended here. Look at the bunnies. It's like Watership Down. Oh wow, this is awesome. Wow. Oh my god, this is so good. The black and white bunny here looks so good. Wow. I'm loving this, Carlos. You did a great job on this. What's this profile? I want to hear about it in this. Oh yeah. Watership Down's a wonderfully cute story that every child should grow up experiencing. Um, let's see here. I'm just checking anything in chat here if I missed anything. Baldur's Gate 3 is literally a dating sim. Yeah, yeah. Most people replay it just to see how characters get along, huh? Yeah. Um, let's see here. Okay, there you go. It's your default profile. Neat. Well, it's a good profile, man. You did good picking your ratings and stuff like that. That's awesome.
It is beautiful.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So we can see here that it's still making her outfit white, which is interesting. So at this point, I'm gonna say that she is. Oh no, that's right. I accidentally hit reroll on that. We want to get the ones a little later. There it is. All right. It's almost done here, and you could see just how much being redundant with your prompts is important. Um, so let's just let that finish up here. I see Festus. Uh, I really shouldn't have mentioned the dating sim thing. Oh my god, it's just nuts how many of you guys are instantly doing that. That is so funny. It's so funny. Oh man. Um, but
In
I
theory, we could really make like a point and click adventure.
we really could. We
Only
really could.
text-based, like, just a text-based adventure.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't even have the ambition to add AI video to it right off the bat. I would get the game like completed, right? And then maybe decide later whether or not the I would add any video elements to it just to see if it was worth our time. But I will say that all these Baldur's Gate 3 dating sim things, guys, I'm a Karlach guy. I admit, I always pick Karlach. I will not let Karlach die. So yeah. Anyway, so like if we look at these here, now she has the green tunic on. She's a little more humanoid because we do have some particular features listed with her character. Sorry, her Omni reference here, but you could see just how much influence the style weight has now on just like her face and stuff like that. So at this point, my temptation here is actually to calibrate the style reference because we've nailed the actual character descriptions really good. Like we don't need to add anything more or less because it's doing a solid job representing the character's design, but now it's about the art style, honing that in. So I'm going to run this one more time. I'm going to hit use, and then I'm going to add an additional parameter to the bottom here. If you do not know the Midjourney parameters, I highly recommend looking up the parameter list on the wiki. So just search parameter list Midjourney. It's also probably going to get linked inside of VC text here for you guys. But that parameter list will teach you everything in terms of all the nuts and bolts of what you can do with Midjourney. But so I'm going to add --SW, which stands for style weight. And then I'm going to set that to a lower number than the default. And can someone remind me what the default value is? Is it 100 or 150 for style weight? I'm trying to remember.
I think that's 100.
So I'm going to...
Yeah, 100.
100? Okay, cool. I'm going to go with a lower style weight then. So I'm going to go with something like 50, which will hopefully have more influence on the Omni reference to decide like her character details, stuff like that. That's not a guarantee, by the way. Like we'll see what happens. But for the most part, I'm balancing the style weight after I've nailed down all the context of the image here. So let's see what we get. Seeing all the different gnomes popping up here is just awesome. And with the style reference that I've provided here, it's far. There's a lot of realism that gets applied here. So I'm curious if we can kind of bring a little more of that Franco-Belgian art style back. But we'll see what happens here. So while that's running, I want to take a look at a couple of the things you guys have done already. So let's see here. We got Drolenak's other character here. Can you actually remind me of the name of this character? Drolenak, it's Piper. Yes, Piper. I should know that by now. He's the guy with the pipe. His name is Piper. There you go. It's definitely fun for us to be able to all share these characters and make them into our own lore that then we can jump in and out of as we choose. If our only real rule is for the Gnarly server is that if you want to diverge from someone else's lore, then just make a new character listing. Like just go down a different path, make a slightly different change in the character design, color, or something like that. But I mostly want to take a look at trying to get characters to talk or interact with each other, because that is really like the holy grail of how to make how to use omni-referencing, is to have both of your characters fully realized within your reference, and then use that to to be able to reference both characters at the same time, so they interact with each other, and you can see their interactions with the results. So you can see here that by lowering the style weight here, I was actually able to retain a little more of that exaggerated body form that is in the character here. It's still producing a lot of realism within her design, but like I'm not minding it nearly as much as I did before. But let's go ahead and try to use now a fully realized version of her for this reference, because we did a lot of good stuff with just this. If we go too low with the style weight, it'll diverge too much. So let's try to do, we'll hit use here. So we copy this whole prompt, but instead of using the stock image or the character sheet of Gnome, I'm going to hop ourselves to the character portal here. And I'm going to use this image of her instead. This one is one that I built earlier today. And to me, it really nails the environment, the scene, like the whole moment there, I think is just beautifully realized. And then we'll see if we even need the style reference now that I have built that with all these tools already. So I'm just going to now mute this after I've copied the link. I'll paste this into here, and then I'll shift this over to the Omni reference. There you go. All right, so this should now render pretty well. So let's go ahead and submit this. And then I'm also going to submit one without the style reference, because we've done already so much work on this image here. We may not even need it. So let's just get rid of that and put that image here. The reason why style references are even more important when you just have a character sheet is because without that, it's just going to try its best to shove that character in with the image itself, as opposed to having a fully realized world in your Omni reference. Makes all the difference when it comes to trying to recontextualize that world. And what I mean by recontextualize is I mean like move characters, move things around, shift things, change aspects of the image, and preserve other aspects of it. That's the kind of thing that we're able to do with omni-referencing. And so I just want to really sell it at this point, just how important it is to find that perfect reference that really nails your character, your world, and the like the motivations of your character moving forward. Some sort of MacGuffin that gets the ball rolling. And my plan for today is to have Brecky, who's running away from Fungi Mancer in the last comic. I want to get her to interact with Gnome, Vic, and Drolinak by the end of this comic. My cat. All right, I can tell. Okay, there's already people saying it, or they're already saying it. I have a 20-year-old cat who lets me know that she's 21 years old every damn day. I'm probably going to feed her in a couple minutes just to keep her quiet. But if you ever see spams of cats and you hear a cat screaming, that's why. Let's see here. Okay, all right. This is exciting. This is so exciting here. Take a look at these results, guys. Without anything but the Omni reference, we have this moment realized in 4 different angles. 4 different angles. We essentially are starting to establish coverage of Gnome by using this as a reference. We'll be able to use variation subtle in order to change aspects of the line art, any sort of weird wonky stuff with that. Like, for example, you notice that she has 3 legs here underneath the tunic. If we just hit variation subtle on this, it'll most likely give us an option that doesn't have that problem. It may have other problems, but it may cut down the labor significantly to make this work. All right, I'm gonna go feed this cat really quick so she shuts up, and then I'll be right back in a minute. If you don't mind taking over for a sec, Rhapsody. I'll have the OREF feed in the background just rolling.
No problem. I'm here. I see amazing stuff made with dragons. Who is that? Reveille. Reveille's doing some nice painted dragons. Actually, I guess I'm just gonna take. I'm just gonna steal the stream here for a second. Boom. Hehe. This way I can just show stuff. Look at these. This is really nice painting style. What do you have in here? Oh, it's her. Yeah, and this nice S-Ref with the profile. I just love this. The face here is so gentle. What else do we have? Meow! We have cats from the bacon pasta. It's like second serve of noodles. Ooh. And Kinky Kong. Somebody wants to date you, Kinky, apparently.
No, nobody's
So-
gonna date me ever. That's me at the dating store closing it.
Ah, okay.
I'm over it forever.
Oh, right, I see it. If I scroll up, there's closed sign. Yeah. These are really nice images. What's the reference
Carbon
here?
dating says
Oh,
AC. He said, "What about carbon dating?"
to say I just love like these game screens. I want to do something with it. I want to make a game, even if it's a small one. Meow. These are nice mouse. Ay, ay, ay.
And I'm back.
Welcome back. I took over your screen.
Yeah, well, that's fine with me. Hijacking
Also,
the stream.
the room is now hijacked with cat girls.
Oh, good, good. I'm not surprised. um, oh wow, yeah, there you go. Rental Rod. All right, let's see what we got here. Gompasta's doing 2D cartoon comics. Let's see. Comic small, short, stocky gnome girl wearing an all green tunic with big brunette braid and green cone hat. On a sunny day, but yeah, the rest of the prompt. Awesome. So I can see you've combined multiple of these images to establish a style reference that is a combination of the results from earlier. I'm curious what happens if we keep stacking these. But eventually I figured we'd just lose control. But look at she looks great in all of these. It's awesome. I'm curious when it gets to 100%. We'll deep dive into those. Ooh, Kinky's here. Kinky's here. Tattoo shop dating sim. Um, that's awesome. Second serving of noodles. Was generating those. Oh, the anime fantasy gnome girl wearing a green tunic sitting on a rock petting a cat. Okay, neat. Yeah, these look pretty. That's awesome. And using the style reference I linked earlier. That's great. But you could see just like sometimes you don't need to reinforce the character design if the results are consistent enough for you right off the bat. There's definitely some elements of her height that gets lost without mentioning or really digging into her stature. But let's take a look at what we got here with the variations, particularly. Because remember what I said earlier about using variation subtle to fix the line art? Let's take a look. She's got the proper number of legs in most of these results here. There we go. That's already like so much better in terms of just her like her lower half here, but now her arm's missing here. So it's like you gotta find that result that really cuts out the majority of the labor for you, but preserves the moment that you're intending. So I like most of these results though. They're pretty easy for us to fix up too. So loving all of this, guys. Great stuff. let's see. Let's go back here. You see, Reveille is messing with the style weights on this one here. He's the 50, set to 50 here. Wow, did that bring the art style to far more painterly results here. This is actually,
Right?
it looks
I
really,
love this. This
yeah,
one specifically.
yeah. This one is so good. It's exciting. It's exciting to see that we're able to diversify so easily off of a single image too. It, you know, at least when it comes to the linear storytelling side, meow, meow, meow. When it comes to the linear storytelling side, though, I try my best to use the previous or future panel, depending on the direction I'm going in, as the style reference in order to maintain continuity for a plot or a story. So as we start constructing today's comic, oh my god, this looks so good. This looks so good. Just because if you want to have her running through this, you could literally take these as 3 separate images, you know, up-res it so it looks good. Because if you notice here, she has some of her details get really lost as she gets farther into the background here. So we could actually use creative upscale to try and fix a lot of those details. So I'm going to run 3 of those in a row. And the reason why is because I want you guys to see just how much diversity gets applied, but with upscale creative to fix the minor little things that can go wrong. Oh my god, you guys got the gnomes, you got the nards in here too? Oh my god, look at this. All right, so this is one of the characters from the SpellBroke story. It's one of the lesser. They're not technically villains, but they're the first bad guys that our characters interact with are the nards, and like I said, they're not bad. It's just they work for bad people. You know, they're kind of forced into servitude for these people. So, having them realized with the art with this style reference, look how good that looks. It's so cool looking. I love this. I love the art style that this particular reference produces, right? And you could see that it's borrowing all sorts of harsh contrasts in order for the trees and the reeds and stuff to be produced here, as well as the shadows in the ground. That all gets replicated if you use it as a style reference. So the difference of no style reference versus style reference. I mean, it's huge when you're trying to make a story that feels like a film, that feels like it's all made in one continuous run, because it is. That's what we're able to accomplish with OREF. But I want to take a look at the 3 different creative upscales here. So let's take a look. We have to zoom in pretty close so that you guys can see what I'm talking about here. But with each one of these, she is slightly interpreted differently. And so what I can do is I can combine my favorite results and then make this into 3 separate panels of her running, for example. Or we could animate this by overlapping these frames and then playing them 3 or 4 frames apart from each other, something like that. Lots of options when it comes to using creative upscale to fix up the majority of the line art. So yeah, it lots of options for you guys to get into this. What is this? Let's see. She is riding a chrome dragon in an underground cavern. This is from Fungi Mancer. I love it. Love it. Go nuts with version 4 of Gnome. I'm curious to see what you guys do. We will be diving into 2 other characters, Brekkie and Drolinak's character as well, here a little later in the stream. But I want to see inside of chat here if there's anything from you guys here. I see we have a birthday for D. Yes, that's perfect. Love that. Let's see here. Awesome, guys. I love the painterly style as an accident of the P code that got stuck somewhere on the web interface. I see. Okay, neat.
The respect button on that screenshot is amazing, by the way.
What? Sorry, say that again.
Like the 2 options on the happy birthday screenshot is wish happy birthday and pay respect.
Yes. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I love being given ultimatums in games like that too, where it's like, no, you only get 2 choices there. And you could see one of the things that's happening also with using Drolinek's other character here, Piper. You're able to start to prompt the other characters just with the words alone, but they will always borrow aspects of whatever is your omni reference if it's a character. So like you could see here that as this one's loading up here, it's still a little blurry from generating. But as soon, yeah, here we go. So now you could see that even though it has a description of a gnome in there, it has the same beard, the same face as Drolinek's character in the Omni reference, as well as it's borrowing a lot of the art style, not just from the style reference that's here, but even the painterly style that is this result here, because it might have a realistic render for the character here, but the background is all painterly. Like this looks like an impressionist painting, so that all starts to affect the final result. So balancing that, trying to control it is important to get a feeling for. It's not something you're gonna just know right off the bat, especially it's nothing hard coded. Like we're not going to be able to say, hey, produce this always in the Phantasma style. Instead, it's going to be, I am following my references as a guide for what the final art style is going to be. So I'm loving all this stuff, guys. You're really knocking it out of the park with some of these here. Seriously. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have you guys keep doing that. I see already some go nuts here with the squirrel. That's amazing. She has a squirrel tail in some of these. That's so funny. Go nuts, yeah. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna start the actual construction of this comic here by first bringing up some of the prompts that I used to build it. As well as have my Photoshop just kind of running in the background while we start to play around with the new layers function to combine some results. So let's take a look at that here. While this is running, let's see if I can do both. I'm going to try to do a little mini monitor of my tablet screen here. And here's my tablet. Okay, turn that on. I'm just going to kind of shove that in the corner here so that I'm able to work while we're doing all this stuff here. So let's go ahead and shrink that down. Okay. I know it's a little cluttered with all these things going on, but I want to make sure that we preserve the timeline too. So let's actually let's do something like that, I guess. Maybe behind us? Nah, I want to still see. Yeah, this will work. Okay, so what I have here is a couple different panels that we've built. What I want to do is I have a whole bunch of Brecci running towards Phantasma. And I actually have two different versions of this one here that I really want to demo to you guys because it really shows you what you can do with image prompting on top of all this stuff that we've already gotten into today. So let's see here. Okay, I'm zooming in for you guys here. So we have this result here where Brecci is running out of the forest, and there kind of looks like there's a little Snoopy, by the way, a little Snoopy dog here hanging out on the rock. But what I really wanted to show was that this comic actually opens up with this viewing Phantasma in the background. And so if I show you guys that really quick, boop, the start of the comic has Brecci coming out of the Phantasma city that we have built together. She walks into this forested area, and I wanted her to run back to the city afterward. And you don't see the city at all in the result that we got, right? So what I did was I actually in-painted first into this result to create the city to be basically at the end of the horizon line here. So I'm just going to hop out of the Fantasy Friday room for a moment. I'm going to go to Organize, actually no, Edit. And then I'll hit View All on the top right here. And you can see all the edits that I did to get there. But what I'm going to do is show you guys that as a Yeah, if I just click into here, there we go. Oh, okay, and I need to close it out of my other session here, I guess. Just a second. Let's see why that's not loading there for a moment. Let's see. It's probably because I have it open on another window somewhere. It's okay. It's okay. Let's go ahead and see where the important panel is that I need to show you guys. Okay. Just a moment. So, yes. Okay. There it is. All right. So I wanted to show you guys this side by side here, which is that we have the original image here, which I'm bouncing around for you guys to see. That was the original image. This is the in-painted version where I've added the city. And the thing about this is that it's actually not a very good image on its own. It accomplished the goal of first putting the castle into there and then surrounding it by the gnome hutches or smaller buildings around the city. But if we zoom in and take a closer look at this, the actual art quality of this is really low. Like it just really blurry. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And I did my best to like in paint certain details the way I thought would work for what I was aiming for. But the thing is I knew that this image wasn't going to be the final image that I used. It's just the image prompt to establish the composition that I would do to build the final image. So now let's take a look at what I did to do that. So we'll go to create here. I'm going to hop myself over to the result that I was working on here. There we go. Okay. So now let's take a closer look at what happened when I combined all of these results. So I'm going to copy this over. So let's just use this prompt. I'm going to hit copy and then prompt instead of job ID. I'll hit copy prompt. I'm going to bring us to the Fantasy Friday room that we were in, and I'm just going to paste that into here for you guys so you immediately can start playing around with what I was playing around with. I have the style reference set for a page from the comic. Okay, so that's going to help establish some comic panels as well as the art aesthetic being largely green. I have the Omni reference of Brecky. This is the final panel that you see her in the comic. It's her running away from Fungalmancer. And then we have the actual image that I had built in the editor, which has the lower resolution or just lower quality castle and buildings in the background, okay? And now when we prompt with all these elements combined, what we're essentially doing is using the previous version as a rough draft for what would be the final version for the comic. So I do this a ton, guys. I rarely consider the image that I have in my project to be the final version of it. I will basically keep stacking on image prompts until I get to a very clean result that I like. And so while that's rendering here, I'll show you the one that I was really happy with. So now I'm just going to zoom on out of here and find where I put that. There it is. Okay. This is the result that I was super happy with, because if we now take a really close look at the buildings in the background, they are fully realized as we have them planned in Phantasma, where the buildings are super tightly packed and they're surrounding the castle super closely. So this is not at all how the original one looked. I'll mute it so you guys can see. No, I don't have it in there. But yeah, it's just so much cleaner. It's just so much cleaner. So now we can look at the one that is rendering in the Fantasy Friday room. Whoa, Zumster. This won a festival of us hanging out. That's awesome. Hold on a second. This is cool. I'm gonna pull that up for everyone to see because I like this. I like this image here. Let's turn on this panel here. Look at that. Yeah, they're going to a concert. That looks awesome. Okay. Good job, Zumster. That's awesome. Okay. So now that
I look so wild in that one. I love that.
yeah, I love
I was
the
muted there.
The face. I love the face paint that you have on that image there, Raps.
Yeah, it makes me so wild.
I like a wild for sure. That's definitely what we're aiming for whenever we want to do something like lively or energetic or alive. Like we want that wildly look. But look at this, guys. Now that with the image prompt, she does look like she's running in the other direction every once in a while because of the amount of influence the Omni reference has. Um, but in all of these, it's so much better in terms of the castle and everything realized because we've now doubled down on our intent. We have it not only written in the prompt, but we have it also now in the image prompt as well. It's just it's just a really fascinating way to control your imagery you get with Midjourney. It's also the oldest way to control your imagery using images in Midjourney. Before we had any sort of referencing tools, was image prompting. So it's if you go all the way back to my version 4 tutorial that got me started here, you'll see that I lean heavily into both remix mode and image prompting. So that foundation still very much applies to what we're doing here now. So this is very cool. I would probably re-roll this a couple times to find the exact image that I want to use, but it is really cool to be able to control the results like this. So now that we have that, I'm going to take a look at the rest of the room here. I see you guys have thrown me into the get on gnarly. I see what you're aiming for there. Let's see. Frog Poncho running to a store with a sign that leads bakery. Yes. Okay. So this is where we break the fantasy very easily, is by describing IRL or real life things, right? So you're going to see that we have all this modern bakery stuff that shows up because you mentioned bakery, right? So if we double down on the actual intent of it being a fantasy, we got to basically say that instead of a store, it's the word store that's influencing all the modernism to suddenly pop up here, okay? So we're going to go with a medieval market. With a medieval marketplace. Let's say medieval market. There is a food stand with a sign that reads bakery. I believe this will be enough to get out the modernism from this. But we'll see. We'll see what we get with that. So we'll try iterating on yours here, Carlos. And then I want to see if there's anything from up here. See, just following orders. Yep. That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right. Let's see what we got with this one coming up here with the medieval market. I'm just curious if we're able to get rid of some of that modernism that's there.
Thank you.
Cabbage Men. Who's the Cabbage Men?
Oh, I hear the rain against your window. This is crazy.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. The storm is actually quite bad outside my house right now. There is a tornado warning, so I'm curious if it cuts out my internet at any point. I apologize that things suddenly stop, but that's why. So let's see if we're able to get rid of them. Oh, cabbage. Yes. From the comic, yes. I did a cameo for Cabbage Man from Avatar inside of the SpellBroke tutorial here. So if you look at the SpellBroke page here and you scroll down to the second teaser, it is some other characters. So we have Flora, Vic, Gnome, and Blobby, as well as a new character, Larry the Dragon. And the thing is I wanted to make sure there's a reference that people would understand, right? I think Cabbage Man is pretty popular. But if you notice here, what I did is I actually prompted him twice, and I used multiple versions of him using a tool in Photoshop called Puppet Warp, which lets me change the position of individual limbs on a character. And so I just made him slightly bigger and changed the angle of his foot and slightly changed the angle of the cart so that it felt like he was kind of lifting it and it's bumping over like cobblestones and things like that. As well as change the direction of the shadow as he moves across this opening outside the city of Phantasma. And if we look at what happens to him, he gets knocked over, And I originally had a panel of, making the cabbage references literally, but I figured this was enough. And it just giddy up, yep, they were going up. That kind of question there is the end of the little teaser there. So inside of this, though, we were able to use the one of the panels from this as a reference to build a little bonus panel as well, which is at the very bottom here. We have our little bonus content, which is Larry likes the red ones, referring to the dragon. So I just have so much fun using omni-reference to be able to say, take this moment and say what happens to them on their way home with all these apples, right? Like that kind of thing. We'll be able to do all that with omni-referencing. So let's turn this off here. And see what we got. You got Rhapsody running away as Brecky. Going.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't see. Oh, it's just rendering. Oh my god. Why? And he's using the broken sref omni reference.
Yes. Look at this. Yes. The Canadian version of Rhapsody. Yeah. Yeah. I know. You really love this image here. But yeah. Let's take a look at the bakery thing we had here. It looks like the word bakery is also heavily influencing the modernism in this. Like look at how much of it is just like a bakery stand in terms of like modern advertisements and displays and all that kind of stuff. So what we need to do with this prompt is actually hit use here and say, instead of a sign that says bakery, let's do okay. So I think one of the things we can do is say that this is not a like my instinct here is to use the no variable, but I know that doesn't work nearly as well as it did in version 6. So I'm curious if maybe I can just really double down that this is not a developed area, maybe, or just something that otherwise evokes the environment better.
Fantasy town.
Yeah, right. Yeah, middle of the market in a fantasy town.
Yep, that
or
always
village.
works for me.
A fantasy town. All right, we'll do fantasy town. There's a food stand. Let's just do a. There is a food vendor, and I'm gonna again be redundant, guys. So this is a medieval fantasy food vendor with the sign that says bakery, with a handwritten or hand painted sign that reads bakery. Let's see if that's enough to double down the intent there before I start digging into actual construction of comics, because I know that can sometimes slow things down a little bit as I start to get into the tools. But we'll be using Photoshop less and less with every new tool that we get, because it is certainly true that with the new layers function, we can do a lot with it. We can do most of the stuff that I instinctually jump to Photoshop to do, particularly object selection. We'll be able to do that now with the Midjourney editor. So I have two shots here that. Yeah, it is something that I see you using so much, especially to, like you said, to put the feather in your hair and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, especially these little edits and like character details. With the layers, I can now just use images that don't have them without like the thought of opening Photoshop, which wouldn't be a problem. But usually, if I take them out of from somewhere else, like from another image or something, then I have to repaint them so the colors match and the line arts match and stuff. And with the Midjourney editor, step by step, I can just surpass these limits. And I love the layers feature. It's so great.
Yeah, I'll be demoing that really big here in just a moment. I am seeing progress with the bakery prompt though, so we'll dig into that too. Let's see. Her running through an abandoned village already works a lot better because we have not any of these modern influences of the bakery prompt or element of the prompt. But I do want to show that we have made progress with this though. There is still some modern elements. Some woodworking, I would say, is a little questionable. This pavement is way too clean to be. It feels almost like Wizard of Oz clean. But I really like this one a lot. It really shows off the whole hand-drawn bakery sign kind of stuff. But this one I think is great because it's a wonderful introduction to another character, right? You could easily in-paint the backside or the over-the-shoulder shot of a character here and introduce them that way. So that's really fun. I do like this, but the abandoned village though immediately gets us something that I feel like is a bit more thematically accurate as well. But this would be an example too of where you might look at this image and go, "Wow, that's not very useful for me at all." Look, her face is like cut in half and like not usable. Just do a variation subtle. Honestly, it's going to preserve the composition. It'll keep her leg pointed forward and keep her in the frame where she is. It'll keep this like something like a building in the background there. All these elements here are important steps in a stage of filmmaking called blocking. And you're essentially randomizing the blocking and then applying continuity once you have the line art clean with variations. So there are new tools that are coming out every day within the AI industry right now that help with blocking, particularly. A lot of people fight with blocking a lot when it comes to making comics and making videos, especially. But it is something that if we look at the variations now with this, she's able to run in a couple different directions because of the variations, but we see that the composition is largely preserved. Version 6 had a little bit better about like staying constrained within the like whatever was the depth of the image, but I appreciate version 7's variations so much more because it gives me new ideas constantly, and it's easy to just in paint and fix things. So like if she was running away from Fungalmancer here and then ends up in this abandoned village, she could be looking around and then accidentally like I don't know resurrects a skeleton guy who ends up being a good guy, like something like that. I like stories where the juxtaposition is all the bad people are good and all the good people are bad. I love plots like that. So. At least without being too predictable, right? I like going down that logic. Um, Wait, Gom Pasta, a girl in a frog poncho, sitting on a bench next to a fantasy fountain, eating a wrapped bagel. She is kicking her legs out. So damn cute. Oh my god. This is also funny to me too, just because like there's an element to this that makes me go like the park benches particularly are going to bring in a bunch of modern elements just by referencing a park bench. So like I think of like Wheel of Time, yeah, the pilot episode of Wheel of Time, and my partner is a huge fan of Wheel of Time. She's read every book, blah 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 blah. She's a big fan. And she got so annoyed with me because I kept referencing all the weird production design decisions that I know what the storyline for Wheel of Time is. I know that I'm not gonna like be like, oh, I'm ignorant of what the story is and I'm just saying silly things. I was really bothered by the modern park benches in the pilot. They had like I had this medieval fantasy world, but there's suddenly like modern park benches that they're all sitting on and having food next to each other. It really threw me off. Like I was really confused by that. But she got really annoyed with me, constantly bringing up little things like that. So I kept my mouth shut for the rest of the pilot. But I'm seeing some really fun stuff with the gnomes that you guys are messing with by using some of the derivatives that you guys have come up with to use that as the omni reference. And it will eventually diverge you off of the art style of whatever you started with, but it's a really great way to establish new art styles by digging into that and not using it as a style reference and using it as entirely an omni reference. So very cool, but I will give that note of caution that if you don't use this style reference for this, you will start to diverge away from some of the art rules that we have. The thing is that like that's only for the forested area just outside of Phantasma. Like as you get into the dense forest, that's what this style reference is best at representing. As soon as you walk out into the daylight from the forest, that's when the other style reference that I was using starts to come into play. If I just scroll on up through here really quick. Yes, this one here. that's where this image here really came into play, was but to say that I wanted more of the sky. I wanted more of the horizon to be dominating the image, and as well as just introducing the color orange, because that's really what inspired me telling the story that we're going to tell today, is that we're going from a green world to orange. We're introducing the color orange to the palette. And my logic for the teaser comic, like as we keep going, is that we slowly introduce more and more colors to the palette. So we start off with green. We're gonna start to bring in a little bit of orange, and the orange actually first really gets a little bit of its first hint with the dirt of Phantasma, or like the dirt road to Phantasma is the first orange thing you see as she's running to away from Fungalmancer here. So, did you say orange, Lolo Soon said? Yes, yeah. And I will say I did think about you and your hugely orange palette. I did not think of the annoying orange Malsbeer, but yes, sure. If you reference that, by the way, the orange, I have no idea what sort of horror show you're gonna get, but I just like me mentioning the dating sim, I'm gonna mention that too, because it's inevitable that you guys start being silly with these gifs too, because you can use any image you guys want, including gifs, as your references. Okay, it'll only take the first frame of the gif. So keep that in mind. Like if for a while before I knew that, I was running gifs of like Dragon Ball Z characters powering up without realizing that it was only using the very first frame, which is just a guy looking like he has to poop, right? There wasn't any sort of powering energy, like things flowing around him at all, because that's later in the GIF. So it'll only take the first frame. If you need to pull a specific frame, yeah, you can use Photoshop or another program.
So he always looked like he's gonna poop.
Yes, always hunched over, like it's just constipated. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the first frame of any DBZ like transformation sequence, it just looks like they're just having a really bad time on the toilet. Like so I was laughing at how often that was happening. You guys are starting to bring your characters in. Oh my god, look at this. And I promise I'll eventually get to the comic, but seeing Zero bringing in some of the Breadmancer stuff that we've developed as well. This is so cool. I love seeing her. She's very male in the version that I made with the first comic, so I'm really glad to see her more fleshed out this way. Because I just made a lot of assumptions when I saw that character post Zero. So like I was like, okay, no, this is so much better. I immediately feel better about this character in terms of like what we can do with her on this. Ooh, from Legal Beagle. This bakery character here. It's interesting because it didn't actually look a lot like the character. Is that a version? No, it's a version 7 prompt. That's interesting that it's not really using the character very much. Huh. But it is a very cool scene to see the bakery there. All right. Oh no, there's the orange. Of course there's the orange. I love that he's wearing a crown. Oh no, it's so cursed. It's so cursed. Hold on a second. I have to wait for this one to finish because it's gonna be worth it. Also, oranges don't grow like this. They don't grow on the ground like this. Oh man. I just imagine there's like that one horror Japanese game of like the smiley face guy that's like chasing you. Like I forgot the name of it now, but this is what it's reminding me of. It's just really small. It's so dumb. Yeah, no. I love it and I hate it at the same time. I love it and hate it. Indeed. Okay. All right. Let's get to actually teaching you guys stuff. Because as much as I love seeing orange guy bricky barbecue shenanigans going on, I'm going to start making a comic. So I'm gonna flip these now so that the Photoshop one takes a little more dominance so that I can show you guys the construction of this. But then we're gonna immediately go into the editor because we really want to show you guys what you can do with the layers here. So what I wanted to do was combine two different character results. Particularly, I wanted Brecky to be falling as she was running towards Phantasma, so she like trips on a rock here. So if I zoom in close here, you could see that I wanted this rock to be the moment of impact for her, that she causes her to fly into the air, and you can see that this flying here is actually kind of hard to do without a special prompt, a really like a prompt that I'm going to recommend that you guys use. And whenever you need a character to be like this, to be like thrown into the air, because if you say that they're jumping, it's going to be like kind of crouched down and like they're about to jump, or they'll maybe be at the end of the jump, so like their legs are all kicked up. You never get this sort of chaos, this sort of discombobulation of the character unless you use or at least through my exploration of this stuff, you don't get it unless you use a prompt, one of my favorite prompts, which is spontaneous levitation. It makes the characters surprised at the fact that they're levitating or floating, almost like you turned on zero gravity in the world for just the moment to get them to do the silly thing you need them to do. So inside of our Gnarly Studios server, let me turn off the tablet here. Inside of the Gnarly Studios server, you're going to find that we have a lodge called the Green Lodge. This is where you're welcome to prompt anything you want. We just have them themed so that they're easier to organize. But inside of this, I have the prompt that I used for getting her to float up like this. So, animated fantasy film, a girl in a frog poncho spontaneously levitates. That's the key part of this. She is tumbling headfirst down a rolling grassy hill. Okay? So, I will copy that for you guys so you have it. I'll post it inside of the room here. And get rid of this and then prompt that. Because I don't have the ability to /show a job ID inside of this room here, I'm just going to re-render new prompts for you guys whenever we do this. But by using image prompts, you can get her into a specific position. So, like, say you need her to be falling in a silly or discombobulated way from a tree, you can composite with the new layers function to set up an image prompt that you can then use to guide the shape of her as she falls. So let's get into the layers here while this is rendering, because you guys now have access to the spontaneous levitation prompt. It is so much fun to apply that to every character and see how they act or react to being like, suddenly thrown into the air. Because I promise you, you grab one like Piper, like Drolinak's old guy, and throw him into the air. He's gonna react like you would imagine an old man would, as opposed to how Brecky is as a young girl, right? This is the kind of stuff that just fascinates me so much about Midjourney. Like, honestly, like just the character tropes being applied by just visual information alone is just so cool. Okay. Let's get into the meat of this here. So I'm gonna go into the editor. We're gonna pop ourselves out of this for now. We're gonna go into the editor. We're gonna hit new. So edit a new image. Okay. And now I'm going to bring in a image that I've already made. You can use an existing prompt or existing image that you want, but I'm going to grab the one of Vic here, and I'm just going to export it really quick. I'm exporting it from my Photoshop file. You could just literally click and drag it from Midjourney if you want, but for this one, I'm just going to quickly send this to my desktop, and then hit Edit, Upload Image. And I'll grab that really quick. There we go. Let's let that upload. And then we'll start playing with the new layers feature. Miss Nameless, date me, pointing a gun at a camera. Yes, 100%. This is the kind of silly stuff that I want to do at the if we do the RPG thing. I want it to be that, like, you
It's
guys.
an animation.
Is it an animation? Hold on.
It is.
Ah, look at the dancing logos. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you should date me because if you don't, I'm totally gonna put a hole in you. Yeah, no,
You scroll up more, there's another one.
there's another one. Oh my god, no, it's not the orange. Oh, it's you. It's Roxy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks great. We'll be able to animate all these. Oh my god, that's
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
freaking
yeah, yeah.
funny. But yeah, no, it would be really funny if you guys got to decide all the lore trees, right? Like all the dialogue trees, so that like it just becomes this sort of like mess of I imagine it would be disappointing for some people that it's gonna be like ancient. I will repeat it. Yes, but okay. All right, let's get to the layers. Let's get to layers. I've distracted myself plenty with these. This is so fun. But all right, let's get to layers. So if you notice on the bottom left corner of the editor, you now have a layers function. So we're going to hit add on here, and you're able to hit add from file or add URL. So I am going to hit add from file, but I'm going to export a different image from my Photoshop file here. Let me go ahead and grab this one and export this. I'm going to call it Brecky1. Brecky breaks her legs. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to now hit upload or add from file. I'm going to find the one that I just exported. It takes a second for Windows to load up sometimes, but all right, there we go. And now it's going to just overlap these two images, and we should be able to then isolate Brecky from this result and throw her into the prompt here using entirely Midjourney. It's awesome. No more Photoshop needed in order to do this. So, okay. Now we have two layers here. You can see that I can turn them on. Yeah, you can see that they're stacked here. I can move them up and down from each other to see to change the order of them. But what we need to do is we need to make sure Brecky's on top here because we're only going to preserve her flying in this image here. And we might need to actually change the direction of this now that I'm looking at it, because if I move this over, I want her flying from the right to the left. So I guess a note for the devs is it would be really, really nice to have a mirror button here. Is there a mirror button? I don't think we have one yet. Okay, that's fine.
There is no mirror button.
All good.
I
all
wished
good.
for mirror and rotation too, but it's not there yet.
It's not there yet. We'll get it. We'll get it eventually. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that quickly inside of... You could use MS Paint for this, guys. You really don't need anything advanced for this. You can use your phone. Shoot, you could just use your phone.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to quickly mirror this image. Transform, flip horizontally, and now I'll export this flipped version, and we'll use that instead. There we go. Okay. Now I'll hit add from file. Let that load. Just give it a second while it loads up the image. Alrighty. Perfect. All right, now we're ready. So we're going to go to the new Smart Select button that's right here. And what we're going to do is we are going to hit the button Include. So we are going to click on Brecky. Really anywhere inside of Brecky here should work. It's a segmentation failed. Let's try to do another one here. Failed again. So let's see. Oh, we're getting a lot of... Why are we getting failures on this?
There was an issue earlier. They thought they'd fixed it. I will let them know that it's coming up again.
Okay. So, okay. So if I try this now on the other one, I just want to see if it's working on this one here. Okay. So it looks like this is just borked at the moment. Oof. Okay. All good. We'll figure this out. It is something that technical difficulties. Let's see here. I'll just do this in Photoshop because it's going to be the same thing, guys. I hate to say that, like that I was immediately building you guys up for this, and then we're immediately switching to Photoshop just to solve this technical bug that's here. But I want to be able to show you guys this because it does basically the exact same thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the tablet here. Full screen that. Okay. And this is the full screen of my Photoshop file here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take this image of Vic that we've generated, and I'm going to drag and drop that to this other Photoshop project here. And what I'm going to do is select on her here. You see we have her flipped already. And I'm just going to make sure this is on the top layer here. There we go. And I will use object selection. It's this button right here. And what I can do, and you'll notice this project is pretty big. It's using a whole bunch of images. It's got a canvas stretched out really, really big. And all the AI tools inside of Photoshop are really regional. Like they very much rely on what's nearby it to determine what the result's going to be. And so the bigger your canvas is, the less accurate some of the object selection tools are. So as well as some of the in-painting tools. So the way that we fix that is by using smart objects. So I will right click and hit smart object here. I will then hit edit of that smart object by hitting edit contents, and that will effectively make that one image, that one layer, its own project. This is super important because now it's only referencing what's inside of this image instead of the entire canvas. Okay, so now I can use object selection and just hover over Breckie and look at that. This is going to do the exact same thing as layers, guys. Exact same thing. But now we have her selected here. I will then use the masking tool down here to mask her in this shot. And now it is just her that is selected, right? And that is something that by the way, this would have taken me at least an hour to do this right when I was working in Hollywood. And now it takes a half second to do. It's amazing. But this is an important stage to check the quality of your selection. In fact, I think Midjourney is actually better at this than Photoshop, to be honest, because I will notice all sorts of line art issues when it comes to particularly the outlines of characters. So I will usually grab like a gray or a mid-tone color. I'll make sure that I have that selected underneath or behind it. And I just want to check to make sure that the line art is clean. Like we got a really good selection on here, but look at this. Look at this. You would easily miss this if you didn't do this ahead of time, which is to check the quality of the line art. So what I can do now is switch over to the mask up here, and I'm going to switch to a brush, and I'm going to make sure that I have it on white, because white means that it's going to include it. If it's switched to black, it acts the same as an erasing tool, but it doesn't actually erase it. There's nothing erased there. I can just switch back to white, and it's back, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my pen here, make sure I'm selected on white, and then make sure I'm on the mask, and now we can just draw in that outline to be where it was, because that was missed by the automated tool. And so I don't need to be that accurate with this. You know, you can use a really low quality tablet or even use your finger on your phone to do this. But basically I just come in and I finesse the outline to match the rest of the outline in the image. And this is the difference between, I would say, like a low quality edit and a high quality edit, right? So we are basically just going through or surrounding our character here and finding any moments like this, where there are like little frayed bits that are on the outside of our character art. So we just draw that in. We just fix that by drawing it here. There's a little one here. But with this green here, because it's a completely different color, I can actually use the magic select tool here and then just paint bucket black into there. It'll also create a little bit of a frayed line by doing that. So I just switch back to white and I redraw that back in. And we just go all around the character. You can see object selection did a really good job fixing most of this, but she has 6 fingers, which we will fix in just a second here. I'm just going to first check the outlines. The thing I make the biggest mistakes for, guys, the things I do the most wrong, is I will see a problem and then jump to fix that problem without fixing the thing that I was currently trying to fix. So I need to make sure the outlines are clean first, and they look all good to me now. But I want to fix her hands now that I've made sure that task is done. So I try to keep everything one task at a time. So just like with Midjourney, We are going to select any parts that we do not like, and then we are going to use an empty prompt to just kind of band-aid or fix things. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll actually just draw that one out. I'm not going to worry about inpainting this one, but if we just hit gen fill on this now, over her like weird, combo finger that she has here, I am going to basically not write anything in the prompt and hit generate, because that is going to just fill in what it believes needs to be there. So much better than writing the word finger into there.
It's maybe important to say here, you don't need Photoshop to do this.
No.
This step can be omitted completely, and you can just do it in the editor. You could use the image as it is right now, put it as a layer in the editor, and then just select the area to reprompt it in Midjourney.
Yes, yeah, and I can even just show that right now, just so that everyone sees that.
Yeah.
Like it is something that
I think you should, because you stick too much around in Photoshop. And we have the tools in
no,
Midjourney.
I do, but also it did that tool failed. So like I immediately jumped to what I'm familiar with. But if I quickly jump us over to OREF here to take a look at the editor here, yeah, we can come in and hit paint, erase, and then just select her finger there. Okay. And the thing is I need to get rid of the layer underneath it. There you go. So you can see we have the same exact selection that we did, but the difference is, and this is to me, this is a pretty important prompt to use when you don't really want to write anything and you just want to kind of keep the context of what's ever in your image. I will first select everything I want to get rid of, and then I'll write what we've nicknamed a void prompt. It's just 2 quotes, and then version 6.1 or NG6, depending on whichever one you want to use. A void prompt.
You can even do this in version 7 now.
Oh yeah?
And it will be more exact with what it's doing in my experience, yes.
Oh. So, but the version 7 just switches the version 6.1 with the inpainting though, right?
No, inpainting in V7 is a thing now, I think.
No. It
It's
still
not?
uses its own.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, then I was under a completely different impression, because I had the feeling that it was in V7.
There is so much placebo with AI, it's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's incredible.
Yeah, but look at what it did here, guys. By using a void prompt, it did the exact same thing as writing nothing inside of a genfill prompt in Photoshop. It's literally the exact same thing. It just cleans it up. So I love using void prompts. It really makes all the difference for me when it comes to just doing stuff quickly. Like, for example, if I just inpainted all this, right? Let's just get rid of this whole grassy scene that's here, right? If I write anything into there, including like grassy hillside or anything like that, that means that it's going to force something into there that matches the words that I've written. But if I write just an empty quotes, it uses a different part of latent space. It uses something that's actually more for like actually putting text into the image, like speech bubbles or signage or anything like that. But it's an effect that I've noticed that especially with version 6.1 rather than EG6, it really helps kind of tie everything together. So I'm just going to do both for you really quickly here. Let's do first this one as a void prompt, and then I'll say grassy hillside. If I'm not adding any new context, I don't need to write anything. So why should I think it just comes out better when I don't, because we get some more interesting imagery in my experience by using void prompts. So let's take a look at the differences here. Oh, look, we got a bunch of new flowers and stuff in here. And we even have a little bit of she's going to be falling into a bed of flowers, because it's kind of leading into that sort of imagery here. And so this is just with the void prompt, right? We didn't write lilies, we didn't write white flowers. It's just that's what it's able to deduce from this whole image here. But now if I said grassy hillside, we still get plenty of these little white flowers, but we are again enforcing that we want this to be an empty field, and we get that. But it almost feels more plain to me. It feels flatter to me because we're really enforcing that intent. So I use it mostly for fixing anatomy, because it's very easy to break the context of what we're doing, right? Like if say I want to say a character is high-fiving another character, we have no idea what direction, is kind of being referenced when we say high five. But if we see there's two hands coming together and we just in paint between those two hands, there's a good chance that it just figures that out on its own because it's trying to make the just clean line art. These flowers look so much better as a void prompt than they did when I asked for a hillside. I'm just that's just my opinion. But okay. So now that we have that shown, I do want to show what we can do with the layers function, but we don't have access to that right now. So I am gonna quickly build this comic and show this off as Thunder starts.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Try it again.
The-
The page, try it again. That
All right.
fixes most editor problems for me.
Okay, we'll try it again. So let's try to add an image. We'll add from file. Let's get Vic in here. Yeah, I don't mind retrying things. All good. It just takes a moment for it to upload the file, especially with the upscaled Midjourney images that are quite big. It's kind of funny whenever Midjourney yells at us that we are using a file that's over 10 megs, because I'm like, it came from you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that we have this here, let's see if this works after I hit refresh here. We have it on include. Does it do our selection? Yay! It's working. All right. Okay.
Ta-da.
Ta-da! Yeah. So I guess if we run into that bug, refresh your browser. That'll help.
Always.
Always.
I have a lot of problems. I have a lot of problems with that editor. Mostly due to my internet connection, honestly, but sometimes it bugs out really hard and just reloading the page helps.
Okay, well that's a great note. Thank you so much for letting me know that because this is the first time I ever ran into a problem with the smart selection tools inside of Midjourney. So that's good to know. We have this here. We have the selection here. We have the option now to either erase this selection or to erase the background. Okay, we want to erase the background. We want to preserve what we've selected here. We can also make additional selections if it didn't fully select the character, but we've clearly done that, so I'm going to hit erase background. And now because she is the layer above Vic here, we just need to reposition her using the move and resize tool. Da-da-da. And we can scale her down just a little bit. And let's get her a little farther in the background here, something like this here. Okay, you can see that we lost a little bit of her hands, but that's fine. We're gonna just inpaint those, but we need to be considerate of the silhouette of this character here. In fact, I kind of want her more profile falling at this point, but this will be fine for what we're doing here. We'll say that she slams into Vic. That'd be really funny, right? That it's just like she's tripping and falling, and it's just like, oh no, who's this person? And then they like tumble down the hill together. Let's see if we can do that.
So, Victor,
That's our, yeah.
your editor is cut off by half by a chat window.
I know it is. I'm waiting for my first edit to really show off the rest of this. I'm trying to keep it so that the focus is on the image for now, and then we'll get into the everything that's over here. Oops, I did not select the right thing. I got to get rid of this. Yeah, you can see that this is what Rhapsody's talking about. It's the other side here. But I just wanted to show this first. Whenever I'm doing the layering, I'm always considerate of the silhouettes of the characters. If I put this over here, you can't see her leg nearly as well as we did before because it's lost within the orange background. It's better for the sake of the audience to have contrasts, to have clear intention with every position of your characters. The only thing I looked at here was not actually her eye line or anything that I could change later. It was the fact that her foot belongs in between, basically contrasted with the blue sky. So this is a great composition. So let's go with this. I'm going to now use the editor, like the painting tool here. And you could see that we lost a little bit of her thumbs, some of her fingers, that kind of thing. So we are just going to now go to erase. No, that's not doing. I need to layer this. I need to layer this down first, huh?
No, you you can erase on the bottom layer around her hand, and this will preserve the pixels that are still there.
Got it. So
And
like this.
then, yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
So we switch to layer 2 and then bring this in. That's good to know. So let's go ahead and start to in paint here around her fingers that's missing. We have a little bit in her pants that are missing too. Let's make her boots a little bigger. Okay. Good, good, good. And I would say that's pretty decent. If there's anything that we need to fix with her, like any parts of her that are wrong on this, then we would switch over to the layer above it and start to erase from her. But this should be fine for this. So now let's describe this scene, which is a girl in a frog poncho is being lunged or thrown. Let's do is being thrown at a lanky, long-haired wizard. Vic's prompts actually involves like the word symbiote and things like that. I'm not gonna get into all that because we don't even see his face here. So let's just go with this here. A girl in a frog poncho is being thrown at a lanky, long-haired wizard. And now I will move the chat over so that you guys can see that we've been working with these multiple iterations here. So I'm just going to apply to the end of this prompt version 6.1. And you don't have to do that because you can also come into the settings here and switch from version 7 to 6.1. But I'm just going to write it into here. And we'll just send it. We'll just see what we get off of this, the raw result, without applying any new style references, without applying any character references, nothing like that. I just want to see what it does on its own. And when it makes this image, it's going to flatten the image as well, which means that we will no longer have layers. We have to jump back to the prompt in order to get our layers again that we had before. So you see this little window that's up here next to our result. If we want to preserve the layers, we have to come back into here, do our edits, and then flatten it again as we start rendering stuff. And she disappeared.
Just in response to what Compasta just wrote, they wrote, I normally inpaint the whole edge of a character edit in the layer underneath just for those little edge cleanups. That's a really nice trick if you want to solidify the character within like the style and the edges around the image. In a case like this, I personally wouldn't do it because I want to preserve the pixels that are left from her hand so that Midjourney has a guide where to put the extra fingers or the right amount of fingers, hopefully.
Yeah.
And in a second step, then when we have a flat image, then I would maybe inpaint around the character again in a second step. But you can do both, honestly.
Now, the thing that's confusing me now is why did she disappear when I rendered this? I'll try it again.
That's
I'll try it again, but we'll see what happens here.
There have been some reports of other issues with the editor recently, like it just yeeting one of the layers off into nowhere.
Yeah, I think
again has been reported internally. That one I don't think they've tracked down yet.
I see. Yeah.
okay.
So
This is really interesting.
yeah, this one is giving me. This one is
Maybe-
definitely. Yeah. What should I do
Maybe
here?
try to add a second edit on the layer for her.
Okay. Let me try that real quick. Let's do the back of her cape here.
Literally a pixel, yeah, something.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try that, and I'll hit submit. Yeah, sometimes whenever I import an image that has transparencies, a PNG image that has an alpha channel on it, I will have to inpaint one dot somewhere in the transparency just to get it to work. Basically saying, all right, give me a new background on this character, this image. So we'll see what happens with this.
Interestingly, it showed you a warning, unable to upload image there.
Oh, okay.
So it might be your internet connection or something that is not uploading like her.
I don't know.
For some reason?
We had it. Yeah, it says failed to upload
There it is
image.
again.
Yeah, it's saying failed to upload image. Interesting. Because of these hangups, let's do the classic thing. Refresh the browser. F5 for winning. Let's see if we're able to get it back. Let me go to view all here. go back to our session here. Oh yeah, and I see the images have rendered, but she is missing from them. So I'll come back up to here. Let's try it one more time.
Try again.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
trying. We're trying it
And
one more
then-
time. If this fails, I'm going. Yeah,
No, it
press
already did better.
press F5 to pay respects. Yes, exactly. But
And she's gone again.
and she's gone.
Interesting.
So this will be something where we'll address the layers, I think, on the next stream, because there's got to be some bug fixes here. It would be funny to have like we're having technical issues sort of pop up, right, where it's just like elevator music and Rhapsody and I ripping cables out of a server. That'd be fun. Yes.
I have this.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you have the loading. You look great. That's too funny. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna just kind of we're gonna shift gears here and switch to the to Photoshop in order to finish this, because I really want to be able to get through construction and leave your guys' chat open in the background while I'm doing this. So let's set that up really quick, and then we will actually make a comic today. Let's see here. First thing, I'll go to full screen here. Okay. I want to include the chat though. So let's do this. Let's actually hop over here, and then I will turn on the chat. See what you guys are saying. Okay. And turn on the tablet. There you go. I'm going to full screen this a little bit, but I have to hold Alt here to get this. Yeah, I want to make sure you guys can see everything I'm working on here. So, including these top menus. Okay, that should be good enough. And I'll shrink this down a bit. I will keep the room running in the background. I'll run it here as just on the bottom half of the screen here. So I'm gonna go to chat and then Fantasy Friday. So any new prompts, actually we should put on the bottom, because then they'll pop up. Okay, so yes, so we'll be able to see some of the stuff you guys are working on, but it's just gonna happen in the background while I'm doing this stuff at Photoshop here. Okay. All right. The last thing we went over was I cleaned up the line art and I cleaned up her fingers in Midjourney, but I need to also do the same thing here for her hand in Photoshop. Just real quick, I am going to use the quick selection tool this time, and I am just going to quickly select her finger here, making sure that I just kind of get a rough selection, and then I'm going to use the lasso tool here to get the last bits of it. There you go. And we will select our mask here, switch to black, and then start painting it. These are principles that apply to every, like you can use GIMP and still get the same features here. You can use Clip Studio Pro, which is a fantastic note for me to say that there is an amazing Humble Bundle going on right now that Alara had let us know about. And if I don't know if I have the permission to share a Humble Bundle link with you guys, but I will send it over to the people who need to see this. Let's see. I'll give it to Ancient, just so he has it and he can decide if we're able to post that link. Let's see here, and boop. There you go. You got it now, Ancient. So this is the Humble Bundle for Clip Studio Pro. So I'm gonna just quickly open that up for you guys inside of my own browser window here, and paste that. On a positive note, Gnarly, I finally managed to sneak comics into my client work. Marketing on social made the process way more fun. These sessions are inspiring. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome. I really love the idea of just like people being able to, one, casually prompt things and make things, but two, being able to utilize them to really just enrich our world that we live in, right? Thank you so much for linking that, Ancient. You can find it inside of VC Text. This is the Clip Studio Pro Humble Bundle. This is a $400 value for like $35. I highly recommend it because you don't only get Clip Studio Pro, which is an alternative to Photoshop, but you also get all these amazing brushes, 3D models, 3D poses, which, by the way, all this stuff can be used for image prompting. Like, all this is an insane value for you guys, especially people who do AI. These 3D pose packs are huge. We have storyboard assets, even comic book manga panels where you could just drag and drop the entire pages, just throw them in there. Super, super handy. And you get Moho, which is an animation software as well. So this is easily worth the money. I mean, look at that. The $407 value is just it's less than 10%. So pick it up, guys. Highly recommend it.
Even I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah,
Like, I own Photoshop. I have several other tools at my hand, but Clip Studio is a really good tool, especially for mixing colors. Like, painting actually is insane in that one.
And it's also Fran's preferred drawing app too. So Fran from the Tiffany Eve comics, she does all of her coloring with Clip Studio Pro. So it's definitely like it's not as industry accepted as Photoshop is, but that's totally fine. Everything is changing anyway. So like you learn whatever program gets you drawing, gets you working with a image editor or image manipulator. This is a great one to pick up. All right. There's my humble bundle ad, and it goes to charity too. No Kid Hungry is the beneficial charity if you pick this up. So sweet. All right, there's my ad. Okay, so now that we have this here, you can see that I was able to just quickly fix up her, like the mask around her finger here. This is a more finessed or refined way to clean up your images, but it does take a lot more time than just in-painting new fingers or anything like that. But now we have her done here. There's one other error that you may not have caught right off the bat. Her skirt flutters like this, but she doesn't have the back side of her skirt here at all. If I now right click on this and hit disable layer mask, we could see, okay, yes. All right. So there is no error there. It just, we could draw in the back side of it, but I think this is fine. We'll just go with this. So now I'll hit enable, and we'll get rid of this gray background that we use to see these outlines. And I'll just hit save. Because as soon as we hit save, remember, this is a smart object in Photoshop, which means I can now move her around and edit this at any time, no matter what I do to it. Scaling, anything like that. Very, very powerful. But I'm just going to scale her down like we had before inside of Midjourney. I'm going to put her foot into here. This also would be an opportunity for me to come in and clean up some of the line art, the kind of like messy lines behind her foot here. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just want to get through this. So let's go for, now that we have these two composited together, I'm going to select both layers here, right click on it, and then hit create another smart object. I layer smart objects like crazy whenever I build comics, okay? So I now have these two as a nested smart object, so I can hit edit contents, and there you go. Now it's just this panel that I'm working on, okay? So at this point, I would try to decide what I'm going to do or otherwise make change to evoke this scene even more. Like how do I sell this moment even more? And for me, that comes down to motion lines. This is where I pull out the pen and I start drawing stuff. I'll probably not get too detailed with it, but I wanted to show you guys how I add that manually into comics, because it's kind of like how you really make it your own is by giving these little signature styles of ways that you evoke motion, movement, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to add a layer on top of this here. And there's all sorts of ways you can do this. Plenty of people just select white, right? And then draw a line to represent the motion that the character is moving. And that's fine, But my problem with that is that it tends to be very distracting to the overall image. Like, I can tell what's going on here already. I don't necessarily need these motion lines. But what I can do instead is reference the color of wherever I'm pulling the motion line from to kind of blend it a little better with the world. So I'll hold Alt to act as a color picker. I will click on the highlight in her fingers right here. And now I'll actually drag from the tips of her fingers just a couple lines that match the color of her finger. And you can see that I'm color picking every time that I'm about to draw on a new finger. And what this does, at least for me, and this is something I do with my comics, this is all subjective, but the reason I do this is because it really helps sell the intention of what's inside of this image here. So like, I could have drawn a line straight like that, but now it looks like her fingers, she has a really long fingernail, right? So I will start to break up the lines whenever I see that kind of thing and try to get it so that she is like that all of her silhouettes are still preserved. Like, I want to know that these fingers are still there, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go for something like this, and you can see that I'm trying to cut off the motion line before it reaches the end of this jacket. And I'm doing that to preserve the contrasts behind her jacket on this here. And I'll just do one for her thumb here. Something like this, maybe, like that. Okay, and yeah, that should be good. So let's go for this. And now, what I tend to do at this point is I'll zoom in, and I will apply a layer underneath this one, and then select whatever the color of the outline is, which for this one, it's really easy. It's just black. I'll go for a smaller brush, and then I'll just paint in a shadow onto each one of these. Now, depending on what you're doing, you may want to invert this. So you can see what I'm essentially trying to do here. I'm going to zoom in really tight so you guys can really see this. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to extend the stroke or the outline of the character and preserve that inside of the motion line. This just gives you so much more like obvious intent of what each line was doing. And you could even put a little bit on top, but know that if you do a straight outline all the way across, it stops to look like a motion line in my eyes. I try to make sure that I follow the shadows whenever I do this. So let's go for something like this. Just a little bit of a help. Just a little bit of a helper there. And the thing is that as we do this, we are also going to be making mistakes. We will be drawing inside of our character. We'll be, so on and so forth. I rarely change from the default brush in Photoshop, but I will change my brush constantly when I'm using the eraser tool because I really want to finesse exactly what the final pixels are going to be. So I'll go for like a really low fuzziness and a small brush in order to clean up just like the edges of these motion lines here. Just something to give me a little bit more cleanliness for this. And in fact, I'll bring up the hardness a good amount there. And bring down the size. And you can see I'm fiddling with the settings so much more with erasing rather than with the drawing tool here. So now that I have this here, I also want to see what the background line work looks like if I invert it, because that can oftentimes evoke even more motion. So if I hit invert here, you can see that it gives us that contrast, but it's too sharp. It's too harsh. I don't like it. So I'll go back here. And this starts to get me at least a little bit of my intention. But what I go even farther for is I will take the colors that I have. And then this may look terrible. We'll see what this does. But I always try to at least use this tool here, the smudge tool, in order to actually pull a more softer or natural motion line out. So let's first try that on this one here. And I'm going to just use the smudge tool and drag it out and then pull it back in. And the thing is that it's very easy to have this look messy at first, but you just kind of shove things around until it starts to clean up the intention that you have. So something like this would be good. I like that. But if I now do this instead, you can even go a step farther with the smudge tool. This is something I use all the time. So I will duplicate this here. I will duplicate her in the background. And then I'll rasterize her because I'm going to use her because keep in mind there's now two versions of her. Okay, I will use the one that's underneath her with the smudge tool and start to drag the version of her underneath with the smudge tool. Okay, it looks real messy at first. Trust me here. So I am smudging her around just to get her colors to all be somewhat in line with what I was doing before. Okay, so something like this. Let's pull this back in a little bit. Yeah, we got to get her hood back up. Something like this. Look what it's doing here. We are basically applying a motion blur to this using the smudge tool. We want to pull this in something like this. Yeah. Okay. And I'll even pull it at, it's not going to work with that one. Let's just go for this one here. And now I will apply a blending mode to the smudge version. And look at this. On color dodge, that looks amazing to me. Like that's how I do motion blending for the SpellBroke series. Is I will actually use the smudge tool and then use blending modes to pull similar color schemes, and in order to make these motions a little more dramatic here. So you can see I can use the smudge tool even more just to get us a little bit more of a finer line there, and that's it. Like that's our first one here. And I can do the same thing by duplicating it and dragging it over so you can see it brightened up everything here. I'm actually going to use the smudge tool now over the art. And you can see I am slowly starting to get something similar here, but let's try a different blending mode. Something like this will work for the over layer of it. Let's go for, yeah, you can see I love using smudge tool. It's very, very handy at just pulling relevant pixels and making something that's a little more useful for our intent here. So let's drag this all out here, something like that. Okay. And I want to erase the thing is like if I start using the erase tool, I might start deleting pixels that might be useful for me later. So that's where the masks come in again. And this is the end of my little Photoshop tutorial here, is that we can now come in and mask out whatever doesn't look good, whatever is too bright, whatever is been blown out by our blending modes, anything like that. We can just easily erase it. Look at that. I am so much happier with this than I was with the solid lines that I drew. Okay, just right off the bat. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. Feel free to disagree, but I really like being able to use blending modes in order to guide this stuff, and then we just drop down our opacity until we're happy with it, until it doesn't look like clouds or anything like that. You know, something like this. Oh no, not that one. This one. Yeah. There you go. So we have her falling towards him now here. We could even do this on the back side of her on the entire by just bringing up this brush real big, even bigger, and then pulling the back side of her jacket out now. And now we can evoke the distance that she's going to be running. In fact, my computer's already lagging because I'm dragging a bunch of stuff. But now if I drag this, look at this. I'll make it like she hopped like a frog. Ah! Like she's just coming out of the bushes here, right? I love this tool. It's so cool to be able to do this. So now I want to say that there is at the end here, we'll just use the quick in paint here, a hole in the bush. Like she tumbled through the bushes and then ended up here. Just a moment. That's fun. Okay, there you go. There you go. Yep. So you can see that now I could also like move this around and clean it up, but that's the point. That's all I wanted to show you guys here today, is that we're able to use all sorts of tools to smash this stuff together. I'm sad that we weren't able to use the editor layering tools properly today. We'll save that for next week. But I wanted to show you guys at the very least what it takes to do this with Photoshop. So I'm curious, am I able to just I could just drop the opacity until it looks like a bit more like a hole she would come out of here, and then I'll use this painting tool here, and then we're done. Something like, I need to make it a harsher line. Hardness, bring that
I
in
would
here.
also like blur the area behind that hole a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm roughening up the edges here in order to make it look like the bushes, right? That's actually really good right there. Probably bring in these branches a little bit too. It's too much. Yeah. And then we will apply in fact, I'll make that a bit darker again, something like that. And then we can, I think if I'll just put a layer underneath it. And let's just copy this like that. I copy just the section of the background. I go to Filter, Blur, and let's see what Gaussian blur does just to see if it helps. It doesn't really, like, in fact, I think what would be better here would be if we applied a noise filter, not a noise, but like a stylized rendering. So like, let's try embossing it really quick. And you can see it's immediately starting to do some wacky stuff when it comes to the whites, but I'm mostly trying to give it a texture here that evokes plants behind it. So let's try to pump that up to about here. Okay. And now I'm going to cycle with a blending mode with that to give it just a little more texture behind the plant. Yeah, something like this. And then let's apply a mask to that. And then hardness, drop that down. Just gonna come into here and now clean up this embossed back of the bush. That's so much better right off the bat.
Yep.
Just by using filters to roughen up some of those bushes and stuff like that. We could also, in the eraser tool, drop the actual opacity of the eraser to something low, like 10 or 15%. And we could put less emphasis on the darkest parts of this hole here. So this is good here, but I want to see where the rest, there it is here. Let's just fill in the mask a little bit here, just at the start of the hole, so that it's like the light just hit the front. Look at that. It's already so much better with that. We can do the same thing on this one here. There you go. There, she's jumping out of the hole. Ta-da! So if we wanted to, we could go even farther. We could start color correcting and doing other things like that. But I wanted to show you, at the very least, how we can modify these images so that they really feel like they belong in this moment here. I could even edit this. Let's see if I can. And look at Froggy's eye shows up back here. But I will sometimes do this. I'll like reposition what I'm doing to get her to come out of the hole literally. Yeah, this is good right here. And then I'll double it up. Duplicate. And we can now start to erase whatever we didn't like. So now I'm done. Just get rid of all this. We have to bring the opacity back. Or no, let's just get that on the rest of them here. Something like that. That. You can see it's just, I have to delete multiple layers now, but that's not a big deal. Ta-da! Yeah, my power keeps dipping in and out. Okay, all right. There we go. We have her jumping through the hole now. Awesome, guys. Great work.
Nice.
I'm really happy with this, but I'm done with Photoshop now. I know that this is going to be a drag for some people to see, so I'm going to open ourselves back up to Midjourney here. Thank you guys so much if you're not using Photoshop and stuff for sticking around, because all this stuff actually applies to all sorts of different programs, let alone Midjourney. So that's it though. Let's minimize this and go back to our OREF room here, the fantasy room, and
We get lots of breaking with frogs and running away and
that's awesome.
doing stuff, and also bread comes up a lot.
Of course it does. because it's my Achilles heel. Everyone knows that Vic's weakness is bread. Um, so look at this though. I saw Lolo shared this inside of the chat already, but oh my god, this is great. This is awesome. Another classic example of where I can come into here with the editor, right? And we're gonna do a quick negative prompt with this as soon as it loads. Your
The
your
editor is really
your
messy today.
my focaccia dough is almost ready to come out of the fridge. Oh my god, I want focaccia right now. I bought some like a week and a half ago, and it was like it molded in 3 days. I was so sad. Um,
So, by the way,
mhm.
scroll up and you see text a little
Okay, let's take a look.
more.
Yeah, this is this.
No, don't do these. No. These are Steam account stuff.
Okay,
There.
this here. Oh my god. Hold on, I'll open this in a better window.
This came out so perfect.
Yeah, let me get this in. Um, I gotta turn on web here. There we go. And drag this to the other. There we go. Oh my god. That looks so good. Yeah. Impressive. Oh, what? Nope. Stop it. Stop. I have to refresh this, I guess. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, that's mega impressive, by the way. I don't know what's going on with her boobs though. Like, what are these two lines that are here?
And this is part of her clothing.
It
That's
is
part of her clothing.
okay. Okay. It doesn't register as that. It almost feels like scars, right? Like two scars going across. But yeah, no, that's awesome though. I love the animation you guys were able to knock it. And I guess this is Pika Labs as well.
It is.
That's awesome. Look at how the hearts are coming off of the play button.
Yes.
That's great. There's the way the heart basically blends into the word the dating sim game is awesome too. It has the little bit of that AI jank to it when it like clicks it in and out. So like whenever I'm using After Effects, what I do is I'll like lock frame and then find those frames that kind of glitch a bit and then remove those. But this is great. This is so good. Honestly, 99% of the work is done for making this gag game that we just randomly mentioned during stream. So awesome. Okay. And also, I will say some of the related images, because of you guys are using the word dating sim and things like that inside of Imager links, are hilarious. Just like, oh, here's your robot or whatever. Yeah, no. Okay, Lolo Soon, what do you got? Another gift for us here? It looks like Ghost in the Shell. Is that Ghost in the Shell? Kind of looks like it. Okay, all right. This one's not loading, so let's go ahead and hit refresh on this. Nope. Okay. What was I doing?
Yeah, my editor is also bugging out.
We'll move on from the editor today. I feel like it's going to be a next week thing. But I do really like the breckies that you guys have been knocking out. Oh, there's some IRL breckies here too. Um, let's see here. Yeah, because this is the one that I was trying to fix. I think right here. Yeah, I just wanted to fix her thumb. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah, it's giving us too much trouble. Not worth it right now. Okay, so at this point, I do want to kind of do a catch up for anyone that is new here. I know there's a lot of regulars hanging out in chat, but my name is Victor Gnarly. I'm joined here with Rhapsody, and we're just making character stuff here today. We're focusing on a comic series that we have inside of the city of Phantasma. In fact, just outside the city of Phantasma. And the comic series is called SpellBroke. So we do have a couple of interesting like plot lines and things that we've written, but I want to show you guys how you can participate in the series because it is a group effort. It is not something that any individual is making. We're all making it together. So if I open up the Gnarly Studios server, it is linked inside of VC text for you guys. You're welcome to join it at any time. But I am going to open up the browser here. There we go. And the SpellBroke. Let's see. Let's go into the Discord server first because this is pretty important for us. We haven't really gone through this yet with you all. So we have our standard text chat, media chat, that kind of thing. But if you scroll down, you're going to find first the character portal. The character portal is where you can submit your original characters and keep track of their
Wait.
activity.
Wait,
What?
wait.
Oh.
What happened during character portal? What happened? Oh,
Legal Beagle is trying to upset you at this point. There is a couple entries for that you guys are welcome to I guess troll with. But if at the end of the day though, submit your original characters here, and you'll be able to keep track of any updates to them if you submit them. If you did not submit them, if say like a fan or somebody saw what you were doing and they submitted one for you, you can actually click on any one of them, click on the three buttons here and hit follow post, or if you scroll up, you'll see the word following here or follow. Just click this, and every time a new update comes out for your character or that character, you'll get a ping letting you know that there's a new piece of media featuring that character. But you have to submit it to each post, to each character if you are doing that. So, for example, if we like look at Bert's character here, Bert has a lot of really great ChatGPT comics and other AIs that he's using to make his stuff. If you want to keep up with his character and what he's up to, you could just hit the follow button on him and see all the cool videos and other things that he's making with his character here. So let's see here. If I now go to the rest of the chat here, we have our challenges, which we will be adding a new challenge today. This will be like your homework for the next stream. The challenge that we had last week was to make a mount for your fantasy character. Okay, so there's all sorts of really cool stuff that you guys have been making for this. I'm not sure how much we featured on the last stream. I think did we get through all of them on the last stream? I think we did. Okay.
Yes, we did.
Cool. So we'll make a new challenge for you guys here. It's do we want to do the Warpath one, or do we want to save that for another time?
I would save that for now. Yeah.
Okay.
I would save that for now.
Sounds good. So we'll have a new challenge for you guys next week that'll be focused on something really fun and involving uniforms and clothing, switching your character's clothing up.
Yep.
Let's check out.
That's a big part of the things that I have prepared, because I've experimented a lot with the editor and stuff to basically create new outfits that are fitting for new situations, and modify old outfits from your other OREFs. It includes a lot of handling with style and with omni references. And yeah, we're gonna do that next week.
For sure.
But don't go in yet and generate like 1,000 outfits. I mean, if you want to, that's fine, but it's not the homework for this time.
Right. We'll do that next time. I will say that the only thing that I've messed with changing attire for Victor with version 7 has been just throwing a miniskirt on him, because someone challenged me to give Victor a miniskirt and see if it would do the gender bend, and it didn't. It had no problem doing that. It gave me a flannel miniskirt, no problem. So it's amazing what you can do with simply a character sheet and just changing the context of the character with that alone. But we'll get into all that next week. So inside of this, though, we have a couple new changes to the Gnarly Studios server that I'm really excited to announce. I was going to prepare with a proper text update as well, but we have a new forums for you guys to use. The WIPS forum, which stands for Work in Progress. The WIPS forum is now a place where you guys can submit your work in progress images to be critically reviewed. You can have them reviewed in a couple different ways, and we're still testing stuff out. So if you have recommendations for what you want to see, or have requests for what a tongue tie. If you have requests for what you want to see reviewed inside of your images, you'll be able to select tags that are appropriate for that. So we have story review, We have finding errors. We have prompt improvements and just general questions right now. So if you have, say, a project that is going to be seen by the public, not just our having fun with AI stuff, like we're a very safe space for just making imagery. We're not going to hound you about how many fingers your characters have or anything like that. Any of the stereotypes that happen with AI imagery, these tropes that we keep hearing about. The server is a safe space for you to just share imagery as it is. But there's also a lot of people that want to bring their imagery out of our server and maybe show it off on various different websites, like whether it's social media or Reddit or whatever. Maybe you're getting into print media and you're about to publish your first book and you don't know whether or not every piece of art that's featured in it is free of mistakes or of errors or slop, as it's called, right? This is a great way for you to crowdsource the cleaning up of your art. So if you have anything that you want to be reviewed or to be criticized constructively, post it here. This includes written stuff as well. So if you just have a book that you're writing, you haven't generated a single image, that's totally fine. Just submit it as a story review. So that's the first big change. You're going to see me submitting rough drafts of comics here. You're also going to see other members who are making comics also submitting rough drafts. There's one particular artist I would always recommend posting inside of the WIP section, just so that we can always make sure that there's no headache for you when you post on public servers and stuff like that. We want to help you as much as possible. We want to help every new artist as much as possible to avoid any sort of unnecessary frustration or headache when it comes to posting images online, because frankly, I miss slop all the time. I forget to remove certain things because I get comfortable with the images that I'm looking at. And that being comfortable is the number one reason why you'll get through a completed project and then you post it online and be like, oh my god, how did I not notice that my character's eye colors change from panel to panel, or whatever little minute thing that someone else's fresh eyes. It's super common that we call it brand new eyes. I need fresh eyes. I need brand new eyes on this. And it is a great way to get your stuff peer reviewed. So go ahead, submit your unfinished stuff to the WIP's forum, and we'll give you constructive criticism on it. But that does make me... go ahead.
And this can be done in any stage that you are in. Like Victor said, you can also post just text stuff and story reviews, but it doesn't matter if it's a big project, a small project, a single image, a general question. You're stuck with a prompt and need help. You can't prompt the specific thing you're looking for. This is the place to collaborate and make things better as they are and solve problems. Our other channels, like text channel, media, comics and stuff, those are high level like visibility channels for more final pieces from now on. And we had the experience in the past that there was a lot of feedback going on naturally, but those things get lost in there. So really use the new work in progress channel, and also, if you're not feeling like doing anything for yourself right now, or you're stuck, it's also always nice to just have a look in somebody other, like on the work of somebody else, and just give them a hand. So it's not just me and Victor who will be in there and criticizing you. Everybody is welcome to put in their own feelings, eyes, knowledge, and critiques.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do encourage everyone to give their notes. Just make sure you do it in a constructive way. We were joking about saying, lol, this sucks. Like if you say anything like that, you're going to get disciplined for it, because that's not constructive in any way, shape, or form. But I will say that if you say that I don't like how this looks, that's valid. That is a valid thing. That you just don't know what about it didn't work for you. That's okay to say. But if you say something that's like derogatory, yeah, we're gonna message you and let you know that you're being a dick. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, that's exactly. That's what we want to avoid. But okay, so that's the first major change, is that we have a WIPS forum. The second big change, and this is actually an even bigger change, is the fact that we now have a storybook category. We are maybe going to collapse all these into a single forum, but for now I have them split based on theme. We have a fantasy nexus, a western nexus, and a sci-fi nexus. I still have to finish setting up the sci-fi one. But the key thing about this is we've had this for a while now to have these nexuses, but we didn't have the ability to add things to them because we wanted to establish official lore for our series and really keep the ball focused at the beginning. But we've been working on this for a year now. We've been working on this fantasy series for, I think, over a year actually, and I am now comfortable with you guys all adding to this. So if you have any established canon or world, basically any sort of lore that you are wanting to include inside of the fantasy series or just a fantasy theme, post it to the Fantasy Nexus as its own thing. So, like, for example, I have the SpellBroke web series here. This is those series I'm building with all of our fantasy stuff that we've made. I will be updating official content onto here, as well as getting feedback from you guys about it as well. So to get that started, we do have it already linked above here in terms of the time-lapse tutorials and all this kind of stuff to show you like the process, the method of how we made this. But I do also want to include the final comics as well. So I have that all here. We'll just go to the fantasy project here and I'll show you what that process looks like just so that everyone gets a little hands-on demo of this. So I have our first teaser, which is the Larry comic featuring Larry the Dragon. I am going to add that to here. So let's do the final square version. And then I'm just going to now click and drag all of these panels to the post here. And I'm just going to say that this is teaser number 1. Oh, nope, don't want that. Teaser 1. And then I will go to our Brecky comic and do the same thing and just start dumping lore, dumping what I consider finished into these nexuses, because you'll be able to use this as references for building your own versions to continue the stories in your own way, that kind of thing. So I now go ahead.
This of course includes, if you think about posting lore and stuff, things should still fit together, right? So if you're unsure about something that you want to make, this is now the time to ask questions in the future. Just throw a question at how things work in Phantasma if you're unsure, if it's okay to include something. All of this can also be done in the Work in Progress channel. You can also just throw it in text chat or whatever. We want to make something that every idea that you have somehow fits in and all is like a coherent thing, and you feel like you're really part of something. That comes with some rules, and if the rules are unclear, please ask away.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And you can see now we have the second teaser has been uploaded to the SpellBroke web series. There you go. So I guess it's official now that you guys are welcome to post your lore to the nexuses here. We have a Western Nexus, a Sci-Fi Nexus, and one called 1988, which is just a placeholder. But I want to do one that's specifically that is 80s to 90s, so a period piece, but not that far away. It's 30-something years. It'll, in fact, what is it? In 5 years, it'll be 50 years since the 80s. So that's a fun way to feel old. I highly recommend checking those out and submitting to them. And then lastly, guys, just because if there's anyone new in the crowd here, we also have the lodges, which is where you can just prompt stuff. You can make stuff with Midjourney here and collaborate. You can see that the Drolinak's birthday was featured here, that kind of thing. Feel free to generate stuff, take each other's prompts, start messing with things, use each other's profiles, OREFs, whatever you want to do. It's all here. So that's my ad for the Gnarly Studios server. I hope you guys join and start making stuff with us throughout the week, so you're not just here on Fridays. Okay. All right. Yeah. I still have to finish the setup for both 1988 and Miscellaneous. My bad, Gom Pasta. I will finish those up. Okay. All right. So that's my demo there. I wanted to include Drolinak. It is his birthday, right? So let's get that done. Drolinak is inside of the character portal. So we will search for character portal here. We will come up to the search bar up top, and then we'll write his character name, which is D. And there you go. There's his character. We will copy him here. And we can take any one of these images and use it as an OREF. I've used just his main one here, but I think just the one image with him with the sword is enough. And I know that there's other examples that you guys have made of Drolinak's character already inside of the OREF room that we have here, the Fantasy Friday room. So I have copied his character art now, and we can kind of scroll through just to see if you guys have also done the same thing. I know that there's a couple already, but let's see. Oh, there's the baker. Oh, wow. Some of these look really good, guys. Like the falling in the flowers and stuff. Oh, wait. She's being chased by the frog, but I could easily in-paint her to be tumbling down, and that's like the path of every time she hit the ground rolling. That's really funny. I'm going to have to dig through these when I start finishing the comic. This is awesome. So the thing is like you notice with her here that because you didn't mention that she has green hair, it automatically, it just assumed based on the shadows inside of this image here that her hair was maybe like a dark color, or maybe that was part of the jacket or hoodie that she's wearing instead of that. So its interpolation of that image goes, okay, I'm just going to give her some brunette hair. I'm going to give her some dark hair, that kind of thing. You could fix this really, really easily just by saying or adding that she is a girl, a green-haired girl. That's how I fixed it. And then that'll prevent that inconsistency. Okay. I see more Bread Knight stuff. That's fun. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, these overhead shots are really cute. It's an Animal Crossing screenshot. That's how you got this angle? By evoking Animal Crossing. That's amazing. And I see there's a style reference code on there. They work basically.
That's amazing. I never thought of that, but Animal Crossing has the correct perspective for these kinds of shots.
Especially when you talk about shots of like a big character looking down at a little character.
Yes.
This really sells it. It's basically, we're selling how tiny Brecky is really, really well with the Animal Crossing prompt. So solid result there from Gom Pasta. That's awesome. Definitely going to have to tap that one later. Here's the spontaneous levitation result that I showed earlier, but you could see how with just this here, we could easily do a variation subtle and find a new pose for her or clean up the line art at all, and get her to be in a unique pose for that moment. But that basically catches us up with where we were before. So now I have Drolinak's character here. I'm going to paste him into there. I'm going to use him as an Omni reference. Okay. And now let's go ahead and get him in the comic. So let's first reference our comic page here as a style reference. And you know what? I wanna have him playing the harmonica. I think that would be pretty fun. I don't know if you would be down for this, Drolinak, but I could just kind of see your character peacefully lounging on a large rock. Let's see, in the middle of a grassy hill, late summer day, playing. Okay, yes, let's do it. He's playing the harmonica on a late summer day. AR32 version 7. And I'm also, we didn't even talk about the raw setting here, but I use raw whenever I'm doing stuff that's like constructing comics and stuff, because I don't want some of the the extras that Midjourney can add to images sometimes. That can be texturing, that can be other things, but it is at the end of the day, I find it to be better for making assets than the default mode. But that's a bit subjective on my part. So I'm just gonna hit submit on this. I like the bread knight, by the way. The bread knight Victor is really funny to me. But let's take a look at what drill knight comes out to here. A flute sounds better. We could do a flute. Let's do a flute. You're right. Harmonica is definitely a randomly modern thing. I agree. Let's see here. Let's do a flute. So I just got to scroll on down here. I'm going to hit use. Switch the... He is playing a flute on a late summer day. I just think, like... I guess my instinct is to go for, like, traveling person, right? Like, you know, like someone who's... in between places, a bard of some sort, that kind of thing. My instinct is to do harmonicas because I think of, like, you know, vagrants and stuff. I think of vagabonds and whatnot. But the flute totally makes so much more sense with the fantasy theme. So let's see how these two render, and then we'll take a little bit more of a critical eye on them. I think even with the harmonica, it's still gonna make it a flute because of the fantasy theming and stuff that we've really reinforced with this. But I'm curious. I'm curious what it's gonna do for both. Almost done here.
Already looks so relaxing.
It does. I see Joel Neck is asking for P codes and style references. Yeah, for sure. I highly encourage...
I actually gave up on using P codes with V7.
I did too. I completely gave up on using profiles. For the sake of what I'm trying to do, right, making comics and stuff, I prefer the control of style references right now. The profiles... Yeah, the profiles feel like almost like a focus group interpretation of my likes and dislikes, as opposed to a style reference being literally me choosing what I want it to look like. You know, I don't feel like I have that same control with profiles as I do with style references. But let's take a look here. Okay, so with the harmonica, it definitely brought the hands close and it made it like a harmonica. Yeah, that's. But this is for some reason he's playing a lute,
a violin.
Violin, yeah. He's picking at a violin like it's like a little.
Looks like a violin that you blow into.
Yeah, it don't make sense.
Mix of it.
Yeah, it's funny. But let's take a look at the flute here. And you could see that without describing his outfit, it generally takes the colors of the style reference as the predominant color scheme for the character here. This one, he just kind of looks like he has elephantitis. But if we look at I like this one a lot. I like this one the most out of this. So we could use this as a reference. We could move on with this, but let's go ahead and try this instead. I'm going to grab this prompt. I'm going to hit use. And then I want to make sure we start to describe the character in detail. But there's a couple ways we can do this. We don't have to rely necessarily on our own visual interpretation of Drollinak's character. What we can do is we can hold on to this image here, and we can do a /describe with it. So is description not in the shared rooms yet? I don't think so, actually. I'll do this inside of create then. So if we are in create, I can drag here. You can see drop image to describe. So I'm going to describe Drollinak's character automatically with Midjourney here. Instantly gives us a description that we can see how it looks as a prompt, but we're going to hit run all as prompts just to see which ones are the closest. But you notice it actually took all the settings that I had otherwise and preserved them as for the descriptions. So outside of the aspect ratio, which is preserved from the original image, everything, the text is from the image, everything else is from what I had in my bar up here. Or what we were using inside of the Fantasy Friday thread. So now the only thing we have to do is find the one that's the most accurate and then remove any details that don't make sense or just didn't generate correctly or didn't prompt correctly. But you can see the cape is already the right color, all that stuff. The important thing is that we have the style reference applied so we can see how much effect it has and how we can balance those things out together. So let's see which ones look best. I think the second and the fourth one so far look the best, but we'll take a look. The second one reads, a full-body character concept art of an adult male in his mid-20s with shoulder-length brown hair and dark eyes, wearing a teal shirt and black pants, a burgundy cape over his shoulders, and holding a sword in the style of anime. Comparing to the other result that I thought worked well, a young man with shoulder-length brown hair wearing black pants and boots, a teal tunic under a dark red coat, holding a sword in his hand, his full-body character concept art in the style of Disney fantasy cartoons. So let's see which ones finish and then make our decisions based on that. I almost always delete the stuff that says like Disney fantasy cartoon or references an artist particularly. I try to avoid those like a plague. But let's take a look. I think this one looks great. That one's awesome. We can compare it to the original. It looks really, really close. Let's go for that one so far. And then on these other results, the ones with the Disney, we also got a pretty good result off of this one. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to copy the text from this result. I'm going to bring us back to our Fantasy Friday room. And we can see you guys are already working ahead of me. You gotten me beat on a couple of these here, but I wanna quickly. Is he eating a burger? Are you guys making like? Wait, he's eating cake. It's his birthday. That's right. He's eating cake. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. But let's go ahead and do this. Let's finish this first. I'm gonna hit use. Oops, I need to copy the prompt. I forgot to do that. Let's get this prompt. Copy all the text from it. Like that. Go back to our Fantasy Friday room. We're going to hit use on the one where he's playing the flute. And then I'm going to simply add the description to the back side of the prompt here. And then I decide what I want to keep and what I don't. A lot of times this doesn't matter too much because if you got 90% there with the description, it's probably just the more context, the better. But I try to avoid things that are not what my intention is with the image. So I'll say that this is not a full body concept art, but instead I'll just start the prompt off as an adult male in his mid-20s with shoulder-length brown hair and dark eyes, because we're not making concept art here. We're trying to make a finished image. So I get rid of that. And then it's wearing a teal shirt with under black pants. That's all accurate. A burgundy cape over his shoulders. Good. Holding a sword. And then I'll get rid of in the style of anime because we are establishing our style with our style references.
Could add instead is something that we haven't talked about, which is also relatively new, is --Q4.
Oh, I've actually
a higher quality version.
Ooh, okay. Well, I will go ahead and submit this first, and then we'll run a second one with Q4. So let's go ahead and hit use, and then --Q4. Let's see what it does. If you guys got any questions,
it doesn't appear in the parameters yet, but it definitely works. Like, or it's again a feeling of mine that isn't true.
Placebo for the win.
Yeah.
I see there's a couple different vectors and stuff you guys have been. I like this a lot. That's pretty fun. I like that. Oh, let's see how this comes out though. I'm really curious what Q4 does. Now, I will say, Rhapsody, Q4 is not showing up inside of the prompt buttons here.
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
But in my opinion, it does stuff. It was also announced that it works now. It's subtle, but I tend to get, in general, more images with less errors using it. Like, that's at least my feeling. Right? Ancient Kinky Q4 is a thing now, right? I'm not imagining things.
Yeah. And Bert is saying he doesn't think it works with ORIF yet.
Yeah, I think it might not work with like Bert said.
Yeah, that
It's
might be
really
it.
different. Huh?
That might be it, but in general, it works.
In general, it works, yeah. it's really difficult seeing through what works with what right now with version 7.
I don't even think OREF works at OREF, so let's go in Boston. Well, it's certainly true that you kind of have to do a bit of a backwards thing when you do in-painting on OREF images. You need to switch it to version 6.1 and do character referencing like we recommended in the tutorial. But let's take a look at the results we have here. I'll start with the regular ones. The character is instantly so much better. Instantly so much better by describing the character details and making sure that's inside of the prompt. It is so important for version 7 when in fact it was not very important for version 6.1. Version 6.1 you could get away a lot with a character reference, but the problem with that is that the character referencing in version 6.1 is very, very literal, which means that if your character is smirking or grumpy inside of your character reference, your character's probably going to be grumpy or smirking in your reference without messing with weights and trying to fiddle with settings. Now, there's a lot more variety that we're able to pull off of one image. It's just the context of the world is just so much better realized here. So this is awesome. I love this, and just describing, basically retro engineering your OREF will take you so far with this. Love it. See, every one of these results feels like it's in the same story, right? And that's what we want to do. That's why style referencing is so important for version 7. Because at the end of the day, this is what I've decided that why version 7 is so exciting. It has so much more potential than version 6 in terms of the depth of the image, the context that's in your image, the complexity of your images. Significantly better with version 7 to the point where it is worth it to take the time and find those really good style references that really keep you in your project, keep you in the world that you're doing, because you'll be able to recontextualize each panel individually to do exactly what you want it to do. So if we wanted to, say, have the next moment of Jolinak playing the flute here and that it attracts an animal to him, we just use one of these panels as a style reference. So you can see his cape is missing here. But now let's check out the version, the Q4 versions. They don't look too much different to me, but I am seeing a little more realization, I guess, of it's probably just placebo. I'm gonna just say I think it's probably just placebo at this point. But I'm very curious about seeing these higher quality or quality 4 versions. But look at this. I like that we could see the individual notes on the on the flute itself. Okay, cool. So this is what I'm going to do now. We're going to grab my favorite of these 4, which is going to be this one here. I don't really like the animals that are next to him. I don't really feel like in-painting those right now. So I'm going to go with this one. I think this is pretty cool. I'm going to grab this image. Yeah?
But I have to critique the position of the sword there. It's like stuck halfway into the ground, and you don't want to do this with your sword, believe me.
Yeah, you have family.
I did it twice. I learned sword fighting, right? I did it twice, and my sword master back then, he slapped me so hard on my hands for doing it, because you're basically destroying your sword that way. It's getting rusty, you're getting all kinds of things on it, you need to clean it, and it's a good way to break your sword and basically to make the tip and to make the tip of your sword like brittle. So when you're fighting, you're risking that it's just breaking off and flying everywhere.
Yeah, and you don't want a broken end of your sword just flying and hitting you in the eye or nothing like that, right?
Nope, you don't want. So that's my 5 minutes of sword fighting knowledge.
We'll do this one then. We'll do this one. It was worth the argument. So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna drag this down to the bar here, and I'm gonna use this as a style reference. Okay. And now let's give a new character. We're gonna follow the linear storytelling guide that I have on comic.spellbroke.com, and we are just going to say that let's just say a cute panda, or no, maybe not panda. Panda doesn't really make much sense. I only said panda because of the little weird creature blobs next to him there, but I'm gonna say that uh, we could have Brecky falling in the background as this is happening here. So let's just do a green haired girl in a frog poncho spontaneously levitates behind the man playing a flute in an open grassy field. AR32 version 7. And we could like I could use this as an Omni reference, but the problem with that is I feel like we're not really going to focus on Brecky here. I'm just trying to prompt this to see at first to see how well this composition works. And we could then add her as the Omni reference, but I'm going to submit this first and then take a look at it before I make my decision what I'm going to do next. Hey, you got him exploring. Nixie13 has a young male adventurer wearing a green tunic and long maroon cape approaching a mystical tree house deep in the Forest of Celebrations. Ooh, Forest of
I love
Celebrations.
this treehouse.
The tree appears decorated and lit for a party. Artistic angles and cinematic lighting. That's awesome. So cool.
Artistic angle is also a really good part of a prompt because it just moves the camera.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I'll be talking about coverage in a future comic release too. So like being able to move the camera in very specific ways. Like for those that don't know what I'm talking about when I say coverage, you can look on Wikipedia for this. But film coverage is where you basically capture a moment from all angles so that you don't have to redo a take with an actor. This is going to more likely get us, these more this control of space, like the blocking I was talking earlier. But let's take a look at this because this is wildly wrong, and it's good that it went wrong because I want to be able to fix this. So with just the style reference in version 7, see how wildly different every one of these results are, even with using the style reference. It just comes down to how powerful the Omni reference tool is, because version 7 has the most potentiality out of any version of Midjourney yet. So that means that if I now just drag this over to Omni reference instead, I'm going to set this to 250, OW 250. The thing about this is that essentially we're allowing version 7 to take over so much more of the result. We could also do a weight on the style reference to be much higher, because by default it's at 100. We could go to 1,000, up to 1,000, so 10 times the power of the style reference. I don't think it scales linearly like that, but yeah, for the sake of argument, we can just say that.
It is something that freaked me out about V7 for the longest time, that I only recently got fixed in my head, is what happened right there. You gave it a style reference, which is clearly like an painted picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's and it did nothing. Like it used the V7 preference for realistic things, although I would say in V7 in general it's more like 50-50 painted and realistic. And I was scratching my head for the longest time how to deal with this, because yes, you can up the style weight with these images, but especially when you only have version 6 images as your style references, you tend to get a lot of errors in the thing. And I noticed recently that words are like, the prompt accuracy of V7 with words is enormous. And words that describe your style in V7 are also a lot more powerful than you think when coming from V6. So if you are running into these issues and you want to use a style reference more like a guide for colors and stuff, then you can still add words to give it a specific style. And so spells, like I call them, for styles are a thing again, like it was in version 5, for example, before we had style reference.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'll add Franco-Belgian style now with version 7 when I try to avoid that as much as possible with version 6. It does help provide that sort of line art, especially when you're aiming for that. But I wanted to show something here, which is you notice that by using it as an omni reference, we immediately retain the art style so much closer just by doing that. But now the characters are merging together. It doesn't understand who Brecky is at all because there's no reference for Brecky inside of here at all. So what I want to do now is I want to actually use Brecky as the style reference and be able to pull Drolinak as the style reference and see if we're able to combine the two in a way that it really holds the composition that we had before. So I will scroll us on up to find a version of Brecky that you guys have already done. So we have her here. I'm going to drag her to the Omni reference here. I could also add this as an additional style reference to keep the comic art style that we had before, but I'm going to not do that for now. You could add multiple images to your style references, but now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to hold shift and drag Drolinak as an image prompt and a style reference at the same time. Essentially what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say, hey, keep the same shot, but add a character in the background and see if we're able to get away with that. But we also need to describe the characters in the shot as well. So I will add the text from this prompt and also add the description of Drolinak that we had before. So come back up into here. And I'm going to just grab the one that we had here. Let's see, this one, yes. And I want to copy the yeah, I'm going to copy the prompt because it's kind of cut off. The text is cut off here, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it into a text thing so I can quickly pull this out myself. Okay, there we go. And now I'll just add this to the back of the prompt. Just a second. Now I'll add the aspect ratio, 3:2, omni weight, 250. I might need to go lower because we're starting to combine characters here. But I'm also going to do raw, and then I'm going to grab my dog because he's barking like crazy while this is rendering. Be right back.
So I think, Kinky, this would be the perfect time for you to interfere right now. And talk a little bit about prompt battles if you want to.
Interfering is my middle name.
Yeah. Interfere as hard as we can. Take over.
Hello, it's the Kinky Minute. How are you? I hope you're doing good. I hope you had a great week. I hope everything's been wonderful since the last time we saw each other and talked. Kinky interfering Kong. Exactly. I'm here to talk to you guys about a little thing we call prompt battles. I feel like I've talked to you guys about this before, but you know what? Maybe if I just drum it in real hard, you'll come and join us. I know that a few of you have, and I love that about you. I love everything about you guys, but this is one thing that I love in particular is when you visit during prompt battles and come play with us and get free fast hours and learn how to prompt cool stuff and make friends with the community. And wow, it's just there's a lot, and we have a lot of time to do it in. We're doing this for 16 hours every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Here is what time it is in your neck of the woods. So like you can definitely make it. You don't have to stay all day, but you can. A lot of people do. I can't promise that you won't need to go to rehab about it because it's pretty addictive. But it's one of the good ones, you know. So yeah, I hope that you guys come to prompt battles, and I will see you then. Bye bye.
Thank you, Kinky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we can see here, I just wanted to show you guys what happened here. It's clear that it took some of the frog aspects of Brecky and applied them to Drolinak's character here, as well as it kind of broke some of the anatomy a little bit. But what I want to do at this point is I actually just really want to isolate her in this scene just because I really want to make this moment happen. And I see some amazing stuff that you guys are doing by doing the stuff that we did last week, by having characters writing or otherwise putting them onto mounts. And look at the giant red dragon that Drolinek is riding on here. You would not have been able to do this with version 6.1. You would not have been able to just throw your character as this small element as the subject in the complete composition. Your character would normally dominate the image result before. And now look at this. It just looks so good. Like, this is ridiculous. And it's really showing off what you can do with OREF. Same thing with the lobster or the shrimp, actually. It's clearly a lobster in some of these.
Talk about shrimp again.
But I'm just saying. Only one of these are shrimp. The rest of them are lobsters.
There's people that try to force shrimp again into the stream. Stop it. We had Shrimpmas, and then we had shrimp Easter. Easter.
It's been driving Raps a little nuts. But let's take a look. Oh, it's Gompasta's pink hair character. I forgot her name, but this is fun to see her too. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to try to get, because before we had layers, we showed that off at least somewhat today. But what I want to do is I want to see if I can get Brecky to just be like rolling down the hill, and then at least get some sort of composition that makes sense for this. So we have the image prompt now that's forcing him into this position, but I'm going to actually get rid of the image prompt here, and say that there is let's just say a green-haired girl in a frog poncho spontaneously levitates behind the man with a flute. Okay, so I'm very much describing him a ton in here. So I want to describe Brecky even more. So let's see here. A green-haired girl in a frog poncho levitates. Okay, so I'm going to say that she is... let's say that this is a two-shot. Let's just say two-shot. A man in the foreground as a girl with the girl in the background. Just really trying to establish that these are two separate people that I want to identify in here. And we'll see if we're able to get away with that without an image prompt first. I'm just curious how far we can go with that. Is the 4th of July a Friday? Hold on. Is it? Oh, yes. American Day. That's going to be America the day. We're just going to make everything America. Yeah, evil laugh, for sure. That'll be a very fun stream, and I will be joining for that. The 4th of July is a holiday in America that tends to happen closer to like 10 p.m. to midnight, because fireworks and all that sort of stuff. It is 100% true that we are just going to star-spangled shrimp everything. And exactly, Enid's got it right. No, Drolnek's character wearing a red lobster bib. Oh no, you get the sea bugs. Oh no, but this is important. This is you can see our work is coming true. Everything that I had promised is finally happening, and it has nothing to do with shrimp. We're gonna see Brecky in the background of Drolnek's character doing what she do, and we figured it out. We figured out the right formula for this. Okay, so let's take a closer look. We have, look at this. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. I just wanted a regular sort of like, he's not even aware of what's happening because he's just so into his flute at that moment that she's just like running down this hill or walking or whatever with this shot, but she's just in the background doing her thing. And you could see even with this one here, I feel like if I did a variation subtle on this, we would get her even more discombobulated there. She's a little tall though, so let's also do a variation on this one and first see what variation does to kind of clean up some of these shots here. I'm curious if it's able to do it. If we wanted to bring her more in the air, right, we just reinforce again that we want more the levitation element of all this. We want her upside down. We want her, like I would say, like legs and arms discombobulated is a good word to put to use here. But with the variation subtle, like it's already doing so much to give us a new context of this moment and have both characters in the scene together. So let's see which one looks best, and then we can bring them together for this moment. And that's how Brecky meets Drolinak. So let's see here. Let's let this finish here. The other one is still starting, so we're probably going to use one of these four for the sake of time. Okay. Get rid of this. Got it. Okay. Lolo. Okay. Oh, it's like she's sliding down the hill in this other result. Oh my god. She's better realized in these ones though. Here, it's great. Like we can actually see her like kind of coming up. Like this one's pretty decent. But it also, there's a lot of influence of Brecky on Drolinak's character too here. So I probably want to do one of the ones where it's closer up here. So let's let this one finish, and then we'll use this to kind of finish off the stream here today. Because just like it is in the comic.spellbroke.com tutorial, as soon as you have both characters reliably in a shot, you can use that as an OREF to direct the entire remainder of the scene. It's huge. So like we have, this actually works pretty well, I think. She's like sliding down the hill here, and he just look at the side eye. Look at Drolinak's side eye. He just notices her as she comes sliding down the hill. This is so good. This is so good. Okay.
Yeah, this one is really good.
This is really good. Okay, so now check this out. Check this
The
out.
sword is sticking in the stone.
It's don't. Yeah. We can always impate that. That. I'm good with that. Let's go with this. Okay. Now I'm going to go with. I'm going to say that this is the Omni reference. Okay. I am going to borrow the text from this. I'm also going to borrow the parameters just by clicking on them up here. In fact, let me get rid of the chat here so you can see this a little better. If you just click any element here, it'll throw it onto your bar over here, right? Including the style references and all that stuff. But we're using a new Omni reference here. We can also use the style reference that's here, but we get so much good luck off of just the Omni reference for now. I'm going to just do the Omni reference, and then if we need it, we'll apply the style reference afterward. But what I'm going to say, instead of this being a two-shot with the man in the foreground with a girl in the background, because that's what made this shot work, guys. It was adding these words here is what made the shot work. So steal it if you need it. But if I now say that, what is it? He turns around and sees her rolling down the hill, and I'm going to get rid of the spontaneous levitation because she's not actually in the air here. Behind the man playing a flute. Yep. And let's just go ahead and hit submit on this, because what we're essentially doing is taking all that context that we added before, we change out what we want to be different, and we could just change the camera angle basically, or we could ask for a wide angle shot, or we could even be able to say, hey, I'm trying to get a satellite shot of this, an overhead shot. We could do that too. But I'm curious what we get just off of this, just giving us a little bit of a different perspective on the camera. And I'm going to already hit use on here because I want to also add an overhead. So let's say that this is an overhead shot featuring this moment. We could also say that this is a bird's eye view. You could say bird's eye view depicting him turning around and seeing her rolling down the hill. And then depending on how much of this image changes is how I set the omnireference weight. That's really the last part of the stream here, is just deciding how much weight we want to apply to this image to get it to understand the context that we've given it. The higher the weight, the more likely that it's going to match what's in your omnireference up until you get to about 500, and then anything above 500 kind of does a weird invert version of that. It's not. People have corrected me on this before, that if you're not doing character stuff, I think actually Rhapsody was the one that corrected me on this. If you're not doing character stuff, then there are purposes for higher than 500 omni weight. But in terms of getting continuity, anywhere between 50 to 500 is really what I would aim for, to maintain that continuity. But we can see here that we basically are starting to get maybe the moment just prior to this, like where she's like at at higher point in the hill or something. And then it's just maybe her with her arms up like as she falls down into this down this hill. So let's take a look. We're at about 80% here, so let's take a look at the other one here. This one was a overhead shot, so I'm going to have to lower the... I do like his reaction here, though. I'm going to lower the omni weight on this one to help change the camera angle on this. This is pretty cool, though, but it doesn't really match what our intention is here. So let's try that really quick, because none of these camera angles were preserved in these results. So... Golden Pasta says, I rarely feel like the need to go higher than 100 omni weight unless it's a potentially unclear OREF. If I need to go higher, omni weight gets a likeness, then I would use it in order to get a new OREF image that works lower. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's try that really quick. So like we have this bird's eye view prompt here. Let's use that, and now we are just going to drop the omni reference. There's a little bit of an odd about this slider bar here, by the way, guys. If you click it and you change the number here, it doesn't actually change it in your prompt unless you rewrite it down here. So you would have to first delete it and then use the bar. That feels a little silly to me, right? So like instead I just rewrite it. I just go omni weight. Let's do 75. Maybe it will preserve the camera.
That is true for every single parameter in the prompt bar.
Yes.
The only difference is that omni weight is always visible. It feels different because of that way, which is a typical user experience design problem. You change something, it just looks a little bit, and people think it works differently. But yeah, in general, everything you put in the prompt bar is like secondary to what you have written.
That's a really good point. Now, this is working. This is working, guys, because we asked. Now, keep in mind, the only thing we asked for that was different was that this is a bird's eye view of this moment, right? We did take away that there's two characters in the shot. We might want to reinforce that, but it seems like it's doing a pretty good job of getting us the bird's eye view of this moment of Brecky just sliding down the hill. Wouldn't it be super cute if Brecky slid down the hill and she stopped right in front of him? And Drolanak D is still playing his flute while this is happening, and she just sits there and is kind of just mesmerized at like his musical ability at this moment, which is what I'm seeing here with the fourth image, is that she slid down, stopped right in front of him, and he's just playing a little show for her at this point. But the thing that preserved the prompt the most, though, is the second result, which is the bird's eye view is really well captured with this here. Bird's eye view, by the way, is a great way to introduce a monster. It's a great way to introduce a great threat, like a looming element in your story, because it's going to invite the audience to wonder, what are they looking at? What is so big? What causes them to change their perspective? That kind of thing. So if we look at this shot here, look at that. We have a bird's eye view of this moment now, of him sitting at this rock. And yes, Brecky is not fully realized here, but that's fine because we have the shot now. We could just in-paint her to be where that is. So let's do that really, really quick. And then I'm going to end the stream here. So if we now have Brecky here, I just need to grab the image prompt that we had for her. Let me do that really quick inside of a second instance of Midjourney because I forgot to save her earlier. So I'll just scroll up really quick and grab her. There we go. Copy link. Okay. And now keep in mind, this is using the version 6.1 editor. So we have to make sure that this is listed as a character reference and no longer an Omni reference. So first, let's inpaint where we expect her to be. So right here, something like this. Let's keep the shoe in there to keep the size and scale of her here. And that should be pretty good. That should be pretty good here. Now I'll paste her image into here, slide her to where it says Omni reference, but as soon as I come up to here and switch it from version 7 to 6.1, that will change to a character reference. That's what we want, but you're going to get an error if you just run the prompt as is because of this parameter right here. Omni weight. So we are now going to switch this from Omni weight to character weight, CW. I'm going to set that to 90 just so we get pretty close with her. And we could just describe her, but I'm going to leave the prompt as is just so we can see what this looks like and then hit submit. We could also run this at Niji if we feel like a more anime aesthetic would be appropriate for this, which it probably is, but we're gonna just go with this for now. And the important things that I did was I switched Omni weight to character weight. And I switched the settings from version 7 to 6.1. And now let's take a look at her here. It turned her largely just into a frog here. That's funny. Okay, so let's try to enforce this a little stronger here. Let's say that she is just the frog poncho here. So we'll say that it is a green-haired girl in a frog poncho. She is lying in the grass. And we have the carrot. Yeah, okay, this should be good. And I'm also going to run this with Niji 6 just to see what it looks like. And you can see here I have to move the chat, but I do have all these rendering at the same time. So let's see what we get. We get a lot of frog. Okay, that we have her legs there. That might be enough to work with. Yeah. The eyes of the frog hat are really, really disrupting our in-paints here. So I can fix that as soon as I grab one with legs. Let's go with that one here. And I could try to...
Hilarious, though.
Yeah, it does look hilarious.
I just giggled at them.
So I'm going to run one with it, but the easier solution here, guys, is actually just to get rid of it as much as funny as those eyes are here. Just because the eyes are confusing character referencing tool, I think it'll help if we go with something like this. So let's take a look at that. I am running it with Niji though, so I probably need to switch that off in order to get the same consistency we had before. I have also been getting a lot of these kind of errors with the editor, where it shows me these blank results. What is it? I think that is just a temporary bug. That's what's happening with Niji 6. It really makes it chibi. So I'm gonna get rid of Niji 6. And as soon as I have her realized in here, we'll do the show after the show announcement and probably call it a day. Because it's already past 7 here. We usually call it around 7:30, so this is about right on time. It's just more frog. Okay. Here's how I'm gonna fix this. Okay, I am going to get rid of the word frog, so no frog, using a negative prompt. I'm gonna see if this will work for us. If not, I'll grab a different image as your character reference, and maybe we'll lean more on previous results of her instead. Yeah, because we're just getting a bunch of frog. Wow. It's really not wanting to work with her on this one. So let's go ahead and grab a different image of her. Yeah, like this one here. Perfect. Let's go for this. Okay, and the image that I'm using here is this one. Okay. So let's go ahead and grab that. I'll do another in-paint here. And submit that. Let's take a look how that looks. And while that's running, I'm also going to go back to the version that we had with the eyes preserved, and I'm going to swap this one out as well. What I really like about the editor, by the way, is the fact that you can have these be like non-linear, so I can easily go back to previous edits that I did. So if I was like, no, wait, no, it does look good with the frog hat on the top there, then I always have that ability to jump back to this one and see what these new renditions did, and it's a lot of the same, but like you could get a good chunk of it just by with that. But man, is it really fighting me on her frog look here. I think I might have to use the layers function to actually get her in here, because it is really really fighting me on getting Brecky to be Brecky inside of this image here. So this is probably the closest that we've gotten. Let's just try to put her into here like this and get rid of some of this high skirting that's happening. Let's go for that. It's really looking at her skin. Sorry, the under like her skin color as the underside of the frog's jaw, right? So, I'm curious if I'm even able to break out of this at all, especially not with Niji 6. But that'll be it. I think that's where we should probably announce the show after the show at this point. On the Gnarly Studios server, we have the show after the show, which is a place where you can come onto the stage and chat with us directly, share your projects, do all that kind of stuff. Please join. Please come on into the Gnarly Studios server. You'll find links to it inside of VC Text. You can see right here. And it is a wonderful way for you guys to be able to get to know each other, interact with what we're doing, and just making cool stuff together, in real time. We also do game nights on Thursdays. So yesterday we were playing golf with your friends, which was a lot of fun and incredibly frustrating for some people. It was a good time. It was a good time. So if you want to play games, come Thursday. If you want to hang out on chat in the stage, come today after the stream here in a couple minutes. Yeah.
And if you're interested in something, in a little thing I programmed to make your mid-journey thing more easy, then you really want to come in the show after the show today.
Yeah, Rhapsody's got a little web developer thing to show you guys, and I won't spoil it at all. So I'm very curious to see what you all think of it, and just join the show after the show to check it out. And just to show you guys the results of this, yes, we are still getting Frog Girl, loungy frog with thick thighs in this shot here. So this is a classic example of where we're just fighting with the system at this point. It would make a lot more sense to add her as a layer and then start to composite this image inside of Midjourney instead. So
I really think that you should just accept her and love her.
yeah, right. Accept her for who she is, the frog she really is.
Maybe she's a rare frog.
A were frog.
When she gets scared, when she gets scared, she just transforms into a frog or something.
It's what happens when she listens to beautiful flute music.
Oh yeah, flutes are her worst enemy.
There we go, guys.
Or best friend.
There you go. Okay. All right, guys. Awesome. I'm going to compile all this for the server later on. I hope you guys join for the show after the show. Thank you so much, so much for Rhapsody joining me on stage here today, as well as to Kinky and to Ancient for co-hosting with us today.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. All right. Well, you guys have a good night, and we will catch you on the next one next Friday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.